I'm going crazy, sitting on that train, and I don't think I'm ever coming home. Don't think I'm lazy, don't think I'm strange. I do think I'm really just losing it all. 'Cause I'm going crazy. Yes, I'm going crazy.
Hey kids, where am I? I don't want to do that. I want to do this. Hey everybody, what's happening? It's Friday night. Let me throw some light on me here. Light dawns on Marblehead. There we go. Is that bright? That's way too bright. What's happening, all? Happy Friday. I've got my bacon candle burning off in the distance. I'm hanging out in Mantown on my futon. I'm just begging to be single with a futon, a 49-year-old guy with a futon. What is that all about? All right, welcome to the show. We're going to get things moving. I haven't made my drink yet. I want to make it with you. I usually have somebody on to make the drink with me, but I thought I'm going to make my own drink tonight. And then maybe Bill or Ryan or Michael will join me some other time. Hey, Shah. Hey, Joy. What's happening? Kentucky. Shah. And I still haven't, Shah, I only see your name on Facebook. So is it Shah or Shay? Because I have not spoken to you yet. John. Howdy, John. What's happening? Hey, Raylene. What's happening? The other Ray. Jen. Hey, Jen. What's going on? Are you reliving days of college? I am. I'm in Mantown here, and I've got all my toys on the wall and posters and liquor, right? Lots of liquor. And a futon. I feel like friends might come over and want to stay. You know, it's like having that extra bed in your house and nobody ever stays, but you just need to have it. Sha-na-na, Shah. Okay, Shah. Okay, now I know. I love how Shah says it's pronounced Shah like sha-na-na. I love that. What a great reference. And it just aged us all, didn't it? Don, what's happening? Yeah, the Toll Booth Willie sticker. Oh, yeah, right here, right? Where are you looking at that? Right here? I'm also the kind of guy that stickers is cooler. So I've got, what do I got on here? I got some distracted driving. Don made that Toll Booth Willie, the guy right there. That was one of my bands. Tim Rice photos on there. I've got, I can't see. I can't tell. Anyway, this is my ice for tonight. So, okay, before we get to Jeff Belanger, who recently wrote a book. The guy is so busy. This is just one of his latest endeavors, The Call of Kilimanjaro. And it's great. I finished it. So it's fantastic. We're going to talk to Jeff in a second. But I'm going to make a drink. I'm going to make a smoky margarita. And for this smoky margarita, I posted the recipe earlier on my page, but I'll put it in the comments if you guys are interested. We're going to use tequila and mezcal. All right. Now, mezcal is pretty much like tequila. They say that every tequila is mezcal, but not every mezcal is tequila. That's what they say about that. Mezcal has like a smoky smell and taste to it. This is a good one. I'd tell you more, but I can't pronounce foreign names very well. So this is my mezcal. All right. Pelton, right? De la Morte. If you don't know anything about tequila and mezcal, well, I'm sure we all know tequila. It's made with the agave plant and the pinot, which is the heart of the agave. They cook it up. They get all of the nectar out. They ferment it. They distill it. Now, the difference with mezcal is that when they do that process, they're cooking it underground. So they have like an underground cooking pit. They think about like smoking a pig or roasting a pig, how they dig the ditch, they cover it, they smoke them. They do it for days. So the pinot gets all smoky. There's nowhere for the smoke to go, so it gets trapped in the plant. So when they distill, it comes out smoky. And that's really the only difference between tequila and mezcal. Mezcal is just the cooler cousin of tequila. So this we're going to put aside because I'm only going to float a little splash of that. Float. Listen to me. I'm using. I work at Central Tavern one night for their soft opening, and now I think I'm a mixologist. All right. So real quick, I'm going to grab my ice. Normally you would have this in a freezer, but I'm in Mantown, and I don't have the proper attire to be a bartender. Ooh, this kept frozen nice. So I'm going to throw some ice in my mixer. Let's keep that out because I'm going to need that again. And I'm going to want 2 ounces of my tequila. 2 ounces, 2 ounces. Oh, tequila. Or as they like to say, tequila, if you know what I mean. So there's my 2 ounces right there. All right, so I've got that. We all know how to make margaritas, right? I'm just not using triple sec for this one. I'm going to use lime juice. Fresh lime is always better, but I have the roses. I feel like every dive bar has roses, and I don't know if the good establishments have this. I think they have fresh squozen limes at their disposal. So that's that. And then I'm going to use agave syrup. I'm not going to use that. I'm using simple syrup, but you're going to want to use agave syrup if you want to do this. But this is, it's a sweetener basically. And this is a 0 sugar simple syrup because I'm doing the keto thing. I'd just crack open a beer if I wasn't doing keto, but now I have to get all fancy here. All right, so I'm going to do a 1/2 ounce of that. Boom, overshot that just a little bit. I'm going to shake this baby up just like you see on the TV. Big smile. I can feel it getting cold. I'll know when it's ready. Again, I bartended once in the last 20 years. That feels ready. All right. Now I'm going to rim my glass. I'm not using salt. I am using a applewood smoked sea salt from Bronasian's Gourmet. This is made, it's a spice company. It's made in Whitensville, which is very cool. I love this. You know how you put the Frank's hot sauce on everything? I put this shit on everything. So there you go. That's going to give it a salty taste, a smoky taste, as well as the mezcal. So I'm going to rim my glass. Oh, it's the perfect rim. Look at that consistency. Son of a bitch. Going to want some ice. I'm going to strain what I just shook because I want fresh ice. Why wouldn't you use fresh ice if you can? I'm going to throw that in here because I'm going to have another one. So a little bit more. Strain that puppy. And this is my smoky. Well, I'm not done. You're asking, what about the mezcal? You gave us that lesson on mezcal, right? I am just going to float just a little teeny bit of this on the top. Now, usually when you're floating something, you have a heavier liqueur at the bottom. Say it was like Kahlua, and then you would float some vodka on the top. But these are pretty much both consistently the same. So I'm going to be very gentle as I just top this off a bit. I don't want to put too much on. I just want to cover. Oh, that's nice. Oh, that just relaxed me. That's how nice that came out. Throw this out side. Put the mess away. And there you go. Normally you would garnish it with a lime and whatnot. Again, I'm in Mantown on a futon. So cheers, everybody. Oh my God. That is good. I mean, I have to pat myself on the back. I see 3 or 4 of those in my near future. All right, let me bring you a little bit closer. Let's get a little intimate here. Oh, hi. Oh, that's better. How are you? Good. Is that too bright? I'm good. All right, let's bring in my first guest. He just wrote a book, The Call of Kilimanjaro, Finding Hope Above the Clouds. And there he is. I want to find out if he looked this cool the whole trip. I doubt it. Let's bring in Jeff Belanger. Oh, Mr. Belanger, you haven't finished the book yet?
I didn't know there'd be a quiz.
What's happening? How are you?
Ray, I haven't seen you in hours, it seems like.
Been so long, hasn't it?
I know.
Before we start, I want to mention that Jeff and I do a podcast called New England Legends. He's got a PBS series. You may have seen it. It's on Amazon Prime. You can find it right there. Just do a quick Google. And then I help out with the podcast, which we've been doing for, is it coming up on 4 years or is it more than 4 years now?
It's been 186 weeks, whatever that is.
Yeah, we haven't stopped. Yeah. Even during COVID, we had to take a little bit of a break, but that break, we were still producing. We were still introducing best ofs.
Right.
So we haven't stopped.
A few of those. Yeah. 186 weeks in a row.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So I'm
that's
happy to
hard
have you
do.
here.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers. I just I'm
Oh yeah, what do you have?
just Sam.
Oh,
Sam.
you couldn't get more fancy.
No, cheers. No,
No, cheers.
it's been a long week.
What have you been doing? The book came out on Tuesday. What is it
Yeah.
like for an author who just released a book? What's your week like?
So Tuesday morning, there's press release, there's graphics to put up, there's announcements to make. I did an interview with you, exclusive Ray Osier, first interview, which was very appreciated.
2 in a week.
So yeah, I know. Yeah, this is 2, and so it's just the funny thing is, I've never put out a memoir before. This is new for me. I've written 16 books. So usually when you write a book, like The World's Most Haunted Places, you put that out and people are like, I like haunted places. Never heard of the author. Doesn't matter. I'm interested in the subject. When you put out a memoir, like, dude, you got to just tell the world as much as you can, and you got to share your story and convince them that this is something worth their time.
What was the process like there? Because again, you wrote, how many books did you write before this? What'd you say,
16.
14, 15, 16.
Yeah.
So is this a totally different mindset? Obviously, you're not doing the same kind of research, but I'm sure you got to think back to your life and what's going to be interesting to people. And what's that process like, writing a memoir?
It's so it took me, it was the hardest book I've ever written by far. I wrote it in 9 drafts, 9 versions of it. I'm not proud of that. Like, usually 2 or 3 is plenty. But the thing is, when you're telling your own story, it's really hard to be objective. So that first draft, when I came back from Kilimanjaro, and I think you were the first interview I did as soon as I got home, right? I was in the studio with you and we were talking about this thing that I had just gone through. And I mean, I didn't even have the words yet. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you remember, but it was a few years ago. Yeah, but I was,
and even you talk about that in your book as well. Well, actually, on Tuesday was the anniversary 4 years ago. Did I have you on Tuesday? Yeah, I had you on Tuesday. And 4 years ago, you were telling me that you were about to go. That was the interview.
Yeah.
And then when you got back, you came on.
I came on and it was just like, I didn't even have the words yet. I was like, Ray, it was, big and things. And like, I didn't even like it hadn't even filled in yet. And so I spent it like a year and a half writing it. And the funny thing is, like, the first draft, I put just everything, and it was twice as long as the book is now. It's like 100,000 words. And that first draft was like, went to REI, guy tried to sell me stuff, didn't have much personality. And like, all this stuff, none of that's in the book, by the way. Like, yeah. But it takes you a while. Like, once you reread it after like a few months, you go, oh, no one cares about me going to REI. No one cares about this. No one cares about that. So to self-edit is really tricky. Like, if you told me your story about anything, about like the first gig you performed, I could take it all in and I could go, cool, I know the important parts, right? Like, I could take your story and be like, this is what's important. This is the meat of it. And it's very easy for me because I can look at you objectively and pull it out. But when you're looking at yourself, it's just a whole other animal.
Did you have an editor that looked at the book beforehand?
Well, but even before the editor got it, I had readers. So my friend Christine, who did the climb with me, she was there. She read it, but she's not a good reader because she was there. So like when I'm describing something, she remembers seeing it. So then I had my wife read it. I had other readers, and then I was revising off of that. I had an amazing, probably the best editor I've ever worked with professionally at the publisher at Imagine Books.
Was it hard? Was it hard to take any kind of critique when you're writing something so personal and you're like, that needs to be in there?
No, by the time I got ready to turn it in, I mean, it had been years. And so, no, it wasn't. At that point, I was ready to be objective and be like, my feeling was, I've taken this as far as I can take it. Please let me hand it to you and please help me. And he was so great, just fantastic at like preserving my voice, helping me, hey, give me a little more of this, maybe a little less of that. Let me flip this around, and really made it better. Like, honestly, we didn't have one fight. And you wouldn't even, I mean, with a good editor, you don't have a fight anyway. You make your case. Like, this has to be in there. And how do I make it work so you're happy too? And then the editor would work with you and say, all right, well then let's do this. And so, but we didn't really fight at all. I was grateful for the work.
Well, it was a personal journey, so it is a memoir, but it's very personal. Talk about the idea of tackling Mount Kilimanjaro in the first place.
So Kilimanjaro had been on my bucket list. I mean, no joke. I mean, the Toto song Africa as a kid, right? In the 80s, I heard that song and I was like, Kilimanjaro, Africa, great song, And then in college, I took Swahili, which is just a funny, weird story. And then I was a hiker after college. And in college, I started hiking mountains. And you do the mountains around New England. We are so lucky to live where we live, that you can go into the White Mountains and stuff like that. And the higher up you go, it becomes a little bit addictive. You want to get to the next mountain, and well, what's higher than Mount Washington? In New England, nothing's higher, but that's only like 6,400 feet. And so you always want to do the next thing. I knew Kilimanjaro was one of the 7 summits, the 7 tallest summits on each of the continents. And it's also one of the tallest mountains where you can do it without technical climbing. So you're not like rappelling by ropes or anything like that.
Right.
So it was on my list. And then when I lost my brother-in-law to cancer back in 2015, he had a long, slow courtship with cancer, man. And he and I got a lot closer. And so after he passed, I remember running into a friend of mine who works for the Leukemia Lymphoma Society. And she's like, hey, we got this new fundraiser going. And I'm like, Amy, I'm really, really busy, but I'll help if I can. And she's like, we're going to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. And I just went, oh, I mean,
it's fate. It's like fate.
It was, I mean, when the universe hands you something on a platter like that, and I just went, climb Kilimanjaro, raise money for cancer, cross an item off my bucket list. I'm in my midlife, like the middle of the journey here somewhere. My brother-in-law was just a couple years older than me when he was diagnosed. And I'm like, I just looked at her and I was just like, when are we doing March? That's not, if she said October, I'm too busy. March. Yeah, I'm in, let's do it. And I spoke to my wife about it and committed to it on my birthday that year. And for the next, so that was August. And then we left in March. We left March 17th was the day we flew out.
Yeah. I don't want to talk too much about what's in the book because it is a great read, and I did finish it this week. It's an easy read.
Ray, you read a book.
I did. I read a book. There it is. It's what is it? 180 pages, 190 pages, something like that.
It's like 220.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Page 213 is about the author, which I already know about you. Well, I know, but I don't need to read that.
Oh, but you don't. Everyone else doesn't know about me.
That's true. Well, okay, so it's 120 pages as opposed to 110. I mean, 200, whatever. A lot of pictures in there, which is nice. Yes. You know what? For somebody like me who reads very slow and I have, attention deficit disorder, when I turn the page and I see lots of pictures, that makes me happy. I'm like, I'm going to blow through these pages, and they count as pages. But there's fantastic photography in here. I know that you made it a point to take lots of pictures, and you brought your camera and some extra batteries, and you were using your phone as well. Were you nervous about missing out emotionally on your eyes soaking in the atmosphere instead of, taking pictures with the camera? You don't want to look through the lens the whole time.
No, I totally get that. And the funny thing was I was I'm the kind of person that's so goal oriented, like get to the top. And part of the reason I bought a nice camera when I started training was to smell the roses more. And instead of just like racing to the top of a mountain, stopping to take a picture actually sort of helped me like take in these little moments, whether it was like just the way the light was hitting this little tree or this beautiful flower or whatever. And it actually, I think, helped me slow down and take it all in better. And Ray, it's so incredibly beautiful out there. You wake up and you're like, oh my God, look at the way the sun is hitting the peak. And you take a picture and then you walk for 20 minutes and the sun moved and you've changed position. Oh, look at it now, and you just keep clicking. I couldn't help it. It was, it was stunning.
Here's one of your photos. What are we looking at there? Oh, that's the horses coming out of the clouds.
Right. This is when, this was a big moment. We'd been hiking since midnight. We started at midnight at Barafu Base Camp, and that is the rim of the volcano of Kilimanjaro. That's Stella Point, and that's about 18,800 feet. And there's still another 500 vertical feet and another like half mile to go. But wow. I was so cold, the air was so thin. But this was the moment when I was like, I think I'm going to make it. I mean, I wasn't sure, especially like an hour or so before that. I mean, it was so cold. I couldn't breathe. And I didn't know. But then seeing that, and the world warms up, and you just went, all right. And I clicked that was with my phone. Like I was so tired, so exhausted. I just remember being like, wow, that's really something. And I clicked it, and I just felt this like presence around me. And that was just the most spiritual moment of my entire life right there, captured on the other side of that camera.
I knew the end result, obviously. I think we all know the end result. But as I was reading that last chapter, those last few, 10 pages, I was really nervous for you. I didn't know if you were going to make it.
Spoilers.
You talked about being outside your body. You couldn't breathe. You had to stop. You almost fell over. It's pitch black, by the way, because you started at 11 p.m.
Yeah.
To hike the rest, so that when you get up there, the sun was coming out. Was that the only reason, just to catch sunrise?
No, I mean, it's part of it because it was absolutely glorious. But so that day we got to Barafu Base Camp, 15,000 feet. And when you're standing perfectly still, at least when I was, and I had already had like 5 days to acclimate, when I stand perfectly still and relax, it's not so bad to breathe. But ask me to just walk 20 feet and it's like a sprint. You're just trying to catch up. So you start at about midnight because it's going to take 8 hours to get to the top, 8 hours to get 3.1 miles. That's moving at like less. That's like 0.3 miles per hour. That's a slow pace. Your treadmill doesn't go that slow. Like half a mile an hour, probably your slowest setting on your treadmill. We were going slower than that. And so part of it, so we had to get up there. We're at the summit at 7:45. We have to get all the way back down to Barafu Base Camp, eat something, rest for like 1 hour, and then get miles further down the mountain to another camp so we can get off the mountain the day after that. It was just an exhausting, absolutely debilitatingly exhausting day. That whole affair, and also the emotional, like you're wrung out like a wet towel after you've this thing you've been dreaming about. You get there, you touch the sign, you come back down to base camp, and you're just like, whoa, right there it is. Yeah, that's this thing. That's the reason I thought that was the reason I went there. It was just for that picture, and that was a huge part of it. Sure, of course, but
wasn't that it? I mean, you were up there for like 10 or 15 minutes, and it was like, all right, time to go.
And our guides were like,
we're not camping out.
Yeah, I know. Like, what time's the bar open? Like, what are you talking about? And they're like, there's no air up here. We got to go. We got to get down, man. Let's like, there's, it's so, I mean, I had pictures to take and stuff like that. And, but coming back down was like coming into this, like the air is so thin, but as you get lower and lower, you're just like, oh, there's more air. And you're chasing it, right? You can actually breathe as you get lower.
Plus, you didn't see any of that scenery on the way up because it was pitch black out.
No, and it was on the way down that I saw more markers where people have died, which is very sobering.
That's in the book as well.
Yeah, very sobering when you see plaques marking, commemorating where people died, and you're like, someone couldn't handle the oxygen and they died right here because of it. And that's a moment, and you're just like, oh, people lose their lives on this mountain, on any mountain, but it's still the reason you do it. Like I've always, the analogy I've given is like, some mountains end up in our way through no fault of our own. And that mountain is often metaphorical. You've got to deal with like a death in the family, or getting a new job after getting fired or laid off, or whatever that big thing you have to do. And then there's mountains that we sometimes put in our way on purpose. And those are the best ones. And when you get up there and you realize that you still got some grit in you, you know what I mean? Like, when you're in your midlife, right? When you're in your 40s, you've designed your life a certain way. You hopefully have the job that you like. You're pretty good at it. You're comfortable. The family, the house, the friends. There's not a lot of abrasive stuff because you've sort of pushed it away over the years, right? You're like, I don't have time for that crap anymore. So it's kind of cool to get into a place where you're like, man, I need to find that inner grit. And then to know that it's still there and it's still accessible was really empowering. I got to come home being like, I've climbed Kilimanjaro, man. Like I've got that. I get to keep that forever, no matter what.
What's next, though? I mean, if you did that, that's a pretty big feat. I mean, Everest obviously would be another one, but is there something that's greater than Mount Kilimanjaro, whether it's on the ground, under the sea? What's next?
I will find another adventure for sure. I want to do Kilimanjaro again, by the way. I can't imagine going the rest of my life without going back there. I just can't. I have to do it. I want to do it. Mount Elbrus is one of the other 7 summits, and that's in Russia. And it's not as high as Kilimanjaro, not by much. It's only a little bit shorter, but that's one that I've sort of got my eye on. Cause like, you know, once you've done one of the 7 summits, like, wouldn't it be awesome to say you've done 2? Right. Right. And then you're like, what about, I don't know, 3. So Everest, first of all, my wife said we would have to get divorced first. Very expensive to get divorced.
And dangerous. I mean, Jesus.
Dangerous. You could die getting divorced. And then Everest, you know, it costs like $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 to do it. And it takes weeks. And, you know, it's, believe me, I think about it, but it's probably not in the cards. But I could definitely see myself knocking out Elbrus, you know, and maybe like one other. It would just be cool to be like, oh, there's, you know, 7 summits and I've done a couple of them.
Absolutely.
It's addicting, right? You once you've stood on the mountain, whatever that mountain is, right? Like this big thing, you're like, I want more of that.
Yeah. I felt the same way about tattoos. You get one, you want more.
That's what everybody
says. Before I let you go, and there's so much to talk about. I mean, we could spend the hour doing it, but I really want everyone to read the book, The Call of Kilimanjaro, Finding Hope Above the Clouds. You took that, didn't you?
No,
that's
that
a selfie.
My buddy, that's Frank Grace, man.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I know the story behind that.
I'll let it out. I'll tell the secret. So I took this picture. That's me. I took me. I took that. That's the mountain. And then this was taken by Frank Grace, a very long way from Tanzania.
That's right. That's funny.
I think we took that in New Bedford. So New Bedford, Massachusetts. So
Frank Grace, he contributes a lot to the podcast and the TV series with his photography. He's pretty amazing.
Yeah, he's totally amazing. So I was like, Frank, you know, they had an idea for the cover, but I was hiking and I looked exhausted on Kilimanjaro, and so the idea was that under this, and I'm like, we need something better than that. And so I was like, Frank, what can we do? He goes, I get you up on the roof of my building. There's nothing but sky above you. Boom, we're in Tanzania. So thank you, Frank, for making me look like a badass.
All right, let's go through some comments before I let you go, because there's a lot of legendary listeners here. You had everybody crying last night.
Last night was my first one, my first program.
Was it?
Yeah.
I know Shah is a legendary listener, and I didn't know how to pronounce it, so I asked earlier, how do you pronounce it? Is it Shah or Shay? Because, you know, I only see on Facebook.
Yeah.
But I love the reference. Shah, na. And you'll have to tell Shah about, you know, the connection there.
There is a connection in the book, Shah na.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yep. Andrew's here. Hey, Andrew, what's happening?
Hey.
I don't know. Some of these are out of context, so I don't know. Oh, okay. He's drinking tonight. Good.
Yes.
I just became friends with Renee. Hi, Renee. How are you? Yay, Jeff. By the way, I shared my recipe for beer in the glass. Yeah, it's very easy. Jeff has a more complicated recipe. It's beer in a bottle. A little different.
Have you ever had a black velvet?
It sounds familiar, but no. What is that?
So black velvet is half Guinness, half champagne.
Oh, okay. That sounds horrible. Is it good?
It does, but it's not bad. Yeah.
Okay.
Not bad.
I'm using 0 sugar simple syrup. Actually, Raylene, it's not that bad. It does taste very sugary.
Wait, how do you have simple syrup without sugar in it? Like, what's the?
It's just like, you know, the what do you use for baking? The fake sugar there, the stevia type stuff. Yeah. Stevia. So it's fine.
Right.
Oh, I rimmed my glass earlier. Yes, Andrew, thank you. That was an amazing rim job.
I watched it. I saw that.
Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, I was talking about Scout because I have a smoky margarita here, and I just lost it. You use StreamYard. It's kind of hard to do the show and look at this stuff at the same time, isn't it?
I'm aware. Yeah, it is. It's tricky.
Oh, I lost it. Never mind.
And okay. I saw John Judd's in there.
John. Oh, here we go. Yep. It is a barn burner toward the end of the book. It is. It really is. And John, I thought he was going to fail. I thought he was going to turn around and go back, even though I knew the ending. Like a good movie, you know, like Titanic. You're rooting for everybody. You know how it's going to end, but you still end up rooting. Okay, that's it. All right, buddy. Well, good to see you. This book is available everywhere. Amazon and the what's the place in Plainville again?
Oh, Unlikely Story. So Unlikely Story in Plainville has autographed copies. I went there and signed a bunch.
Ooh.
And so
Yeah,
they
see,
are
mine's
all
not
signed.
even autographed.
And
I cracked mine open thinking it would be because it was given to me by the author and it wasn't even autographed.
Well, we haven't really agreed to terms. The book's free. The autograph, not so much.
Anyway, Jeff, thank you. The book is awesome, and I'll see you soon. Thursdays we release the podcast, so make sure you look for New England Legends podcast wherever you get your podcasts. It's everywhere.
Yes, everywhere. Absolutely
and
everywhere.
Patreon.
It's been an incredible ride, man. It really has. It's been really fun. So
it has. And more to come, man. More to come.
Yeah. More to come next week. Cheers. Good seeing you.
Cheers, buddy. You too.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night. That is Jeff Belanger, my friends. Now I'm getting worried about my my next guest because it is 7:30 and he's not here yet. And he's a legendary rocker from back in the day. So you know how they can be. So why don't I do this? I was going to play his song to get everybody reacquainted with Enough's Enough. If you forgot, who is Enough's Enough? I can't remember. And now you're going to remember. I just got to, how do I do this? Jesus Christ. All right. So I want to add this. See, I produce Jay's show on Sunday nights. He just has to host. I'm the one that does the things behind the scenes. He's got it easy. I can't do both at the same time, especially after a drink. I want to share that. Oh, here we go. Okay. Here's Enough's Enough, new thing. Chips Enough coming up next.
In 1992,
after these messages,
7 strangers got real.
You just called me a race.
Skip. And that's Enough's Enough, new thing. No Chip right now. So let's go to Jay, who's waiting in the wings. Hi, Jay, wake up.
What's up?
Jay, how was the connection with that? Could you see the video okay?
Yeah, it's funny though, when you were rattling around with the ice, it seemed like the volume went down, and I heard your ice over more than the the volume of the
Okay, I think that only happened a couple times. But Jeff was saying that you need a better connection, buddy. Well, Jeff, maybe you need a better connection, buddy. I don't think it was skipping, was it? Sorry. Yeah, these rockers, man. Who knows? We'll see if we connect with Chip. But I was talking to Chip all week, and he was excited about coming on. So we'll see.
Yeah, I was yo, what's up? I was excited to see him on the show again. Like I said, I remember listening to Enough's Enough all the time back in the '80s. They're such a killer band.
Yeah, Fly High Michelle was the big ballad.
Yeah, and I was curious as to I know you got Chip on, but I'm curious as to what the lead singer is actually doing right now. Because killer voice.
Yeah, Donnie V is doing his own thing. He didn't want to tour anymore.
So he's doing it's he's getting high on a new thing then, isn't he?
He's getting high on a new thing, and Chip took over the vocals. And I heard a live performance from a couple years ago because obviously Donnie's got a very distinct voice.
Right.
But Chip did a good job. I think they just bring everything down a bit. But he's great. They've got a new album out. Well, 2020.
I think with all these 80s hair metal bands that everyone had to take it down a little bit because
yeah.
I mean the only hair band that I saw that was, what was it, Mark Slaughter. He still had the pipes, but that was like almost 10 years ago. So I mean, who's to say what he can do now? But man, he could still hit those high notes. But like when we go and see Def Leppard, still puts on a killer show, but he can't really hit those high notes anymore. Understandably,
Todd is saying hi to everybody but me. So,
what's up, Todd?
Yeah. Well, hey, let's do our thing then. Hold on one sec. Let me do this properly because I don't think Chip is gonna. It's like, what's his name? The guy that punched Yoda, Baby Yoda.
Oh,
He blew me off. He blew me off one week and then came on the next week. All right, so Jay joins me at the end of every show, but we're right in the middle here. But let's bring him in properly. I've got full bars, by the way. Oh, Jay, we lost Jay. I think he's frozen or he fell. There he is.
No, I just want to make.
Oh, that's you need a curtain like Kramer had on Seinfeld. Oh, there you go. You have one. That's right. So what's happening? How are you?
Pretty good. It's just another week in paradise.
Yeah. What are you drinking tonight?
Well, because I usually don't drink until the end, so this is water.
Oh, never mind. Okay, I'm reading messages as I'm talking to you. I apologize. How's the pandemic treating you this week? It's kind of a week-to-week thing at this point, and there's a light at the end of the tunnel. How are you getting through this whole thing, being March?
Doing whatever I can. I'm still going to work every day, and that's luckily, knock on wood, going to work and biz is good. Rubber Chicken Comics, if you get a chance, stop on by, pick up some comics and toys. We do nothing. It's like don't go out to restaurants, don't go out to the movies, don't go to see shows or anything right now, and we're getting close that we're finally going to be able to do that again.
We are. Are you missing the shows?
Every day. Are you kidding me? Within the first 2 months of that happening, I was like, I didn't think I was going to have to wait this long, and there we are. This long.
Yeah. What do you miss the most as far as going out? Like, is it the music? Is it a specific band? Is it, having a drink at the bar? Obviously that's changing. Our routine has changed just a little bit as far as where we're going because of the tradesmen.
For me, it's the interaction. I love going out to different bars, but I like seeing all my friends there. Because over these past year, I haven't seen anybody because I see my close friends, but there's the bar acquaintances that you get to become such close friends with that you haven't seen in such a long time.
Yeah. So you know what it is? I am. Like I'm losing the audio when I do that. It's such a unprofessional thing to do.
Same thing with so I got the comic store, and I do conventions. There hasn't been conventions in over a year, and I've got a million con friends too that I haven't seen in over a year. It's all about the interaction with other people. You're lucky enough to have so many cool friends in this world. So keeping you apart from them for such a long time, I feel like you're just doing that now.
Is it really that loud? I'm doing it away from the mic. I didn't realize it was going to be that loud. I thought I had a unidirectional mic. What am I going to do? Not have a drink, Jay? For Christ's sake. We all just have to suffer.
Yeah.
I'm not rimming it. I'm putting the salt right in this one.
Hell of a rim job. Hell of a rim job. I love hearing stories from Jeff Belanger as well.
The book is great. It really is.
I'm going to have to ask him. He should bring some down to the chicken. We'll sell some for him.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah. We used to sell when he'd bring down some posts, some of the calendars when he did that, and I'd sell a bunch out of the store.
Yeah. All right, let me show a few things here that I was going to talk about at the beginning, but I wanted to get to Jeff, and it was a jam-packed show. Just some talking points. I got my new Zajac album, right? Look at that, Garden of Eden. That is the album. That's a thick album too. Can you tell me what grade that is? Is that what do we grade vinyl? It's heavy. It's very heavy.
It's 180 gram.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah.
You think? Yeah. So there's my Zajac. Matt Zajac's a local musician. You can find him on Facebook. And Zajac have a website? I haven't even opened this yet.
Yes, he does. MattZajacMusic.com.
He does. Okay, good. So go get the album. He's got an album. He's got CDs. He's awesome. He spent a lot of time in the studio doing this. Oh, and you know what's even better about this is my name is bigger than in the CD because my name's in here somewhere because I contributed.
Right,
that's
I'm
nice. I see radio, but that's not me.
You're right here.
Did he miss? Oh, there I am. Oh, look at that. I'm right after Rob.
Yep.
And right before Tim Rice. Isn't that nice?
Yes.
It's got all the lyrics in there. I mean, he put a lot into this thing.
Oh, it came out perfect.
William James is watching right now. Hello, William James. It is a great album. That's the bass player right there, ladies and gentlemen, on this album. Sarah was there, and Kate Russo was there, and Fitzy mixed the whole thing.
Yeah, everyone did a killer job. This is my impersonation of Wilson.
Wilson listening to music.
Hey there, neighbor.
Or Killjoy.
He was here.
I need a bigger nose. Yeah, remember when Jeff played the didgeridoo at the Tradesman?
That was one of my first. This is just a test episodes. I put that out because that's in history now in the music. What do you call it?
Stratosphere.
I got it on tape. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on an episode of This Is Just a Test, and it's an awesome episode. And man, he wails on that didgeridoo.
Well, nobody knew what a didgeridoo does, and they saw him come up, and Justin and I were playing, and we're doing Men at Work, and he's there ready to go, and everyone's expecting like this glorious sound. Like, look at this guy with this instrument I've never seen before, this primitive instrument. And then all of a sudden he comes up, we're doing the solo part, and he goes, that was it. It was just that noise.
What does a didgeridoo do?
Yeah, right. That's a children's book. I love that. Isn't that a Dr. Seuss book that they just retired?
They got rid of it. No one can read about it anymore. No more didgeridoos for you.
Matt's album also available at the Nevermind shop. Thank you, Bill.
If Matt will bring some down to the chicken, I'll sell some too. I've already sold a couple of his CDs at the shop.
All right, this isn't a competition. That was just one of many legendary nights at the T. It is. I had Rob DeDominic on my show, on my radio show this week, and we talked all about those legendary nights. Luckily Tim Rice was there to capture all of it, which I don't know what we would have done without. I mean, we have our memories, but to be able to have those pictures. By the way, if you go to timricephoto.com, he just updated the T page, so all the pictures that he has taken over the years at the T are there right now. And I don't know if he has them up, but he did send me the link, so maybe it is up. He's got all the pictures of the local music scene that he's done over the years, which was thousands and thousands of photos. Half of those were of me. in 5-10 different bands. So go to timricephoto.com to see those.
I always liked, it's a testament to what Tim can do when you take some of these bands and they make them look like they're straight out of MTV, you know?
He made us look like rock stars. He really did. Not too many people can do that.
It's a rock star treatment, and that's what he used to give everyone. That he'd be like, I can only do 2 songs, but those 2 songs I'm going to do for you are going to be friggin' amazing.
That's right. Let's see. Hold on. Got some comments here. Oh, Michael, Jeopardy's on. I'm torn. I'd go with Jeopardy all the way, Michael.
I am no Chips Enuff. I'll tell you that much right now.
Yeah, you know what though, dude? I'm happy you're here. So it really doesn't matter. Was I excited to talk to Chip? Will he be on next week? Probably. I'm sure it was something. Again, I talked to him earlier. He was excited to be on. But you know what? He's in Chicago too, so the time difference may have messed him up a bit.
I literally was going to say to you, do you make sure to talk to people when it's Eastern Standard, Central?
ET. Yeah, ET. I always put that ET on there. And
some people just think you're saying etc. I get it, etc.
Right. But that's all right. A lot of people don't know who Enuff's Enough is. I was surprised. Maybe if I had played Fly High Michelle, because that's the one that made the radio. But those guys in 89 and 90 were all over MTV.
Yeah. Well, they were. I mean, there's some bands that are just they're made for MTV. Every single outfit they wore, the music they did, the videos themselves, with all the cinematography. It was like, we're going to do nothing but be MTV.
Right. And those guys, the video we just showed, I mean, just nothing but color and flash and glam. I mean, that was the kind of band that made you question your sexuality. Is that a girl? That lead singer's hot.
Well, them and Hanson too.
Hanson, yeah, I love those girls. Oh man, they were a little young, so you couldn't really get too fixated on them. But when they grew up, man, whew.
Mbop.
That's right, mbop. What am I thinking? Oh, I was showing you things. So on Dean's recommendation from Chicken Chat on Sunday nights, that's Rubber Chicken Comics presents Chicken Chat, where we do a top 3 category between 5 of us. It's always pop culture related. Last week we did board games. So on Dean's recommendation, I bought Ticket to Ride, which I only have to assume is a game about the Beatles on a train. Maybe. I don't know. But
I think that would be the smartest assumption right there. I think that's Ringo right there. So yeah.
He did mention, like, look at I thought this was like a role-playing game. I kept passing by it in the store, and this is like, there's a lot going on there. But he did say this is a very easy game to play, so we'll see.
It shocked me when you were picking up all those games, and I had forgotten that you had so many of those, like, the Fall Guy and Smash and like Charlie. And I remember like Happy Days, like everything had its own board game back in the day.
And now you see that I'm in sweatpants. Sorry. Go on.
The Alf board game, the Hunter board game. I swear, like anything that was a TV show in the 70s and 80s got turned into a board game. Yeah, exactly. Barney Miller. I mean,
this is an adult sitcom. Board games were geared towards children back then. I don't know why. I could see that one, the $6 Million Man.
Sure, that one's easy.
And the Fall Guy. This was awesome.
Again, one of my favorite TV shows. And something, it was after the Fall Guy that I said to myself, I'm going to grow up and be a stuntman. And not too long after that, I saw the older movie Hooper with what's his name, Burt Reynolds. And man, again, once I was like, there's nothing I want to do in life more than be a stuntman. And I used to get on my bike and I used to ride around and I used to crash into everything and hurl myself off my bike, like into rocks, like into trees and everything, because I was going to be a stuntman. That lasted for like 2 months. And I surprisingly never really hurt myself too badly, but that's what I would do. I'd ride my bike and I'd just do these crazy jumps and like hurl myself into things. I
would jump over couches, and I'd have the theme song playing in the background. essence, I would reenact the opening sequence to every TV show. I did it with Magnum PI because obviously I had the cassette or the record of best of TV shows, TV themes. Morky Mindy.
I literally have that right here. This is the Miami Vice and other TV theme songs, which is let's see, the A-Team, Magnum PI, Dynasty, Beretta's theme, Hill Street Blues, St. Elsewhere, Dallas, The Dukes of Hazzard, and Charlie's Angels, all on this tiny little cassette. That's right, people.
How does that tiny cassette hold so much great music?
I don't know. I mean,
Crazy.
Got me so worked up that I have some Pac-Man fever. Oh yeah.
Now, who would have thunk, because we all grew up with the single, but there's like 12 songs on there.
And you know what? They're all kind of good in a catchy, weird way.
Right? Don's asking me if I'm heading to the club because of my sweatpants. Maybe. What else? I am not into music, but found it quite interesting. Pac-Man Fever? Oh, her music. I'm sorry. Jay was asking me about Billie Eilish on Apple TV. I have not seen that documentary yet. Tim Rice saw it. He said he loved it.
I've heard a couple of her songs. I'm not that much into it, but a couple of them.
Yeah, to each their own, I say.
Oh yeah, of course.
You're losing power.
I didn't know why it was, but I hadn't been plugged in. All of a sudden it said, "You're going to die," and I'm like, "No, man, no, let me stay on. It's Ray."
Okay. Well, I don't. Yeah, I'm just. Jeff is just messaging me personally saying the only time he ever gets lag time is with my show. I don't know what else to do. I've got full bars. I've got decent internet. I think I pay for it. So now I'm self-conscious about people watching this show. I'm never doing this again. Sorry.
No,
this is the last show.
Please do it again.
We'll see.
All right.
Have you seen anything good lately?
It's so bad. We watched a movie called They Reach on Wednesday night, and I watched like the first hour of it, and I was really digging it, and then I fell asleep because Wednesdays are my like 13-hour days. Where I'm working like from 7 in the morning until 8 o'clock at night, and I got home and then I have a couple beers, and then I always seem to, that's when I watch a movie, and I never get to the end of it. And Don's like, so you want to watch that again tonight? What? Oh, the one that you fell asleep during. Oh yeah, sorry about that. But from what I remember, it was really good, and Dawn watched it too, and she actually really enjoyed it too. So They Reach. It's a cool 1970s horror.
I am watching a show on Apple Plus. You probably don't have Apple Plus, right? No, it's called Servant. I've had Tim Rice's website up here for a long time. He doesn't pay to be on this show, so I'm going to have to just take that off. It's called Servant, and it's almost like I can't figure out what it is. I'm already in the second season, and you still don't know exactly what's happening, but it gives you a sense of like The Omen and The Exorcist, and it's a show that should be a movie, but they made into a series, a 10-episode series, 2 seasons. They're working on the 3rd. M. Night Shyamalama Ding Dong is the executive producer of it, so it's got his feel.
It's kept you captivated enough to keep going on it.
Yeah, and you know who's in it? Ron, the kid from Harry Potter. Ron, what was his last name? You know who I'm talking about, the redhead. Weasley, yeah. Weasley. He's really good in it as an actor. You don't really see much of him outside of Harry Potter, but he's really good in this.
I have not. Actually, you know what? So we're very close to finishing the end of Weeds. And you said that you watched the entire season, right? I mean, the entire series.
Yeah, I don't remember anything anymore because it was like 5, 6, 7 years ago, but loved it.
We've been binging it, and it's very obvious at this point in time when we're into season 6 and season 7 that they get to the end of the season and they're just like, oh wait, we're getting another season. Oh, what the hell are we going to do this season? And then they'll open up the following season with, oh yeah, all the trouble that you had before, that's all gone. And I'm like, me and Donald watch, it's like, what the hell's going on? Everything that the problems that they had, that's gone, but now we're going in a new direction.
Which leads to new problems.
Right. And it's great. Don't get me wrong. It's absolutely a hilarious show. Great characters. But just when you binge it and it's so close together to watch this happen, because that's the great thing about television. When you space it out week by week and then season by season, coming from summer, fall to summer, to winter kind of thing, it's not as ingrained in there. It's like you don't have what exactly happened yesterday. But then when you're binge watching everything, I think I was telling you about this before, like when you binge watch, like Growing Pains, and you're not supposed to be binge watching these kind of sitcoms because they have so many characters that are reoccurring as different characters and storylines that like kind of interlap with each other. I don't know. There's weird things that I notice when I binge things.
Sure.
But
If you're binging something and you end up saying, I am so sick of this show. Well, it wasn't meant to be binged. Maybe watch it once a week.
Yeah,
like it was intended.
Sure, but I enjoy it because it's such a weird thing now, because you wouldn't even think twice about this back in the 80s. Hell, back in the 80s, when the only way you could think about doing that is if you literally recorded it on a VCR, like every episode, and then watched it all in order.
Yeah. Hold on. Joey's got a show for us. Corner Gas. It's a very small town, which is funny as my town in Conway, Mass, small hill town, no traffic lights, fear. I think I saw that. You know what? It's weird. I tend to stay away from Canadian shows. I don't know why. By the way, I got my my Ancestry results back, Ancestry.com. I'm all French Canadian, Quebec. It goes back to the 1500s. My family was from Quebec, so there's nothing. I am a Quebecian, if that's what they call them. I have the keys at this point. I think I have the keys to the city. My family goes so far back in Quebec, and that's on 3 sides, like 3 grandparents, and then 1 grandparent was Irish. So nice. I have just a little bit of Irish in me. That's when I drink. Of course, WandaVision. Now, I like my Marvel to be exciting and action-packed. I don't think this was as action-packed as I would have liked it to be. The characters were cool. The storyline was neat with the living in the TV show kind of storyline. And I thought the final episode with the battle scenes were pretty cool. What do you think, Jay?
I absolutely loved it. I loved it from day one, though. I love, the old retro TV shows. It's Marvel. I knew there was going to be a huge payoff. So, watching those first couple of episodes, everyone's just like, what the hell's going on? What is this nonsense? It was tough for any, I'm not even going to say casual fan, but anyone that just literally clicked on it thinking that they were going to watch Scarlet Witch or Wanda, like battling some sort of evil villain. It's just that wasn't the storyline that they were going to do. And I was so impressed that they stuck to their guns, and you didn't really know what was going on until like the 4th episode, and then they really unveiled what was happening. Love the fact that they brought in, Darcy from Thor and Wu from Ant-Man. Great additions. It was from beginning to end, and that last episode that did not disappoint at all with the action. Because just like you said, you wanted some crazy stuff to happen, and I think we got a decent amount of it. Loved it.
They brought back S.H.I.E.L.D., all the characters. It was a few surprises. The fact that her brother was the actor from the X-Men series was a nice throw off. I don't know what that really meant. I don't know if they explained why the actor was different.
Speculators, be damned, because everyone was just saying, first of all, spoilers, everyone. If you haven't watched WandaVision,
sorry.
Like this. But everyone assumed that Wanda was going to be what brought the mutants into the Marvel universe, because they were originally owned by Fox, and now they're owned by Disney again. So I was never a big fan of the original Pietro, and I love Evan Peters as Pietro in the Fox movies. So when all of a sudden we saw him come in, I'm like, and I called this like at the beginning of the season, I'm like, I love it if they did that, if they brought in Evan Peters. All of a sudden here he comes, and I'm like, for the first time I called something, like I'm like, I nailed it. And then you find out that he's actually not, that's actually Boner, which was hilarious in its own right when they say, it's like Ralph Boner, and he just laughs, Boner.
Because every sitcom needs a boner.
Right.
Did you catch all the shows? I mean, obviously, I Love Lucy was in there, but when it got a little bit later, and I called him, I'm like, "That's Malcolm in the Middle." That's
Oh, yeah.
Modern Family. They're doing the Modern Family thing with that. That was kind of neat how her mind worked. But watch the show. It's great. Jen even wept at the end, just a little, I'm sure. And Catherine Hahn was great. Todd saying Catherine Hahn was great as casting. I don't know much about the comic books. I really don't. But I love Catherine Hahn with everything she does. So as the neighbor and as the witch, she was fantastic.
Agatha is actually a completely different character, but it doesn't matter because Catherine Hahn made this character her own, and she was awesome. She was friggin' so cool in it. The funny thing is, I feel like I don't know her from as much as everyone else has seen her in. All I can remember her from is this and Bad Moms. I know she's in other stuff, but I don't know.
She was in Step Brothers. Remember? She was. Yeah, she was Will Ferrell's brother's wife.
Oh,
remember
Jesus.
she wanted John C. Reilly to crawl up in her vagina, roll up in a little ball, and crawl up and live in her vagina. Do you remember that? That was funny. Now we have this to look forward to. Now, when is this coming? I don't know the date on this. I keep looking at the TV thinking, oh, it's next Friday. Good, because I can't wait.
So tonight, if you're reminiscing about WandaVision, there's one more episode that it's a behind the scenes of WandaVision. That's what they're playing on Disney Plus right now. And I believe there's also a series called Legends. And if you go on the Legends, it'll tell you all the lore of, I believe, Wanda and Winter Soldier and Falcon. I think it actually goes over. Again, for the casual fan that wants to know more about these characters, it helps a lot. And of course, you can always stop by the comic shop and ask me any question you want to about them.
My mom watched WandaVision, I think because Jack and I were both watching it. But she goes, I haven't seen any Marvel movies. I don't know anything about it. I'm like, you got to know a little bit. I think she saw Endgame, so she knew a little bit. But I thought that was funny. All right, what else we got here? Yeah, boner is definitely a tribute to growing pains. Well, we didn't really know what a boner was at the time. And they all of a sudden they have this character named Boner. And something to laugh about now. Bill's in the wings. I want to get to Bill in a second. And I don't know if Bill he's giving me the finger. I can see him. Justice League. What's the date on this one?
I forget. I think it's sometime in March, or April. I think it's March. But I am perfectly willing to waste over 4 hours of my life to watch what Snyder actually wanted to be his movie. I can't wait to waste time and watch this movie. I wasn't a big fan of the Joss Whedon cut, but I watched it. It was like whatever. But to hear that Snyder's version is so much different than what Whedon actually put out, now I can't wait to see what it is.
Yeah, I watched the other one the other day, and I don't mind the DC movies. I think they're a lot more depressing than the Marvel movies, even though they try to add humor. They gave the Flash a great sense of humor. I thought Flash was a lot of fun in Justice League, but that was it. And Aquaman's got a few great lines, especially when he was tangled up in the lasso, and he's talking, "Oh, you're really hot," and I've got insecurities about growing up, and she's like, "Oh, my lasso is stuck on you." Funny stuff, but it's obviously no Marvel. I didn't like the graphics. I didn't like the computer generated effects with what's his name, the bad guy.
Yeah, Steppenwolf. It was like going back to the 90s, for God's sakes.
Yeah. So I wasn't looking forward to that, but I do like Zack Snyder, and I can't wait. Oh, Jesus, Perry too. Yes, the new Batman movie. I can't wait for that. Batman, right?
That looks badass. Bat-ass.
Yeah. And that's I think that's like a year one kind of deal where it's right at the start of his career. So he's a little rough around the edges. All the toys aren't so shiny yet.
He's not a vampire yet. So, he's got that coming in the future.
For the longest time when I saw the first Batman, and I was like 15, 16 years old, I still couldn't tell what Batman was because there was in one scene where Michael Keaton was hanging upside down. I'm like, is that necessary? You're really not a bat.
I just love how the suit is so constrictive, and yet they're still trying to make him do all these crazy moves. And it's like, you got to look to your left. Okay.
Actually, yeah. Now that you mention it, when he moved, it was very robotic.
Yeah, because they needed the suit to look like he was jacked. So yeah, they shot it very well to make it look like he could do what he could do.
All right, let's bring our good friend Bill in, who is a part of this album right here, Garden of Eden from Matt Zajac. He's the masterful bass player behind the record here. What's up, man? How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Excellent. What are you drinking tonight, Bill?
The usual.
The usual Guinness.
I mean, I gotta tell you, it's St. Patrick's Day is just around the corner, baby. So
Now I know a lot of women. Oh, there you go. I know a lot of women will celebrate birthday weeks and birthday months. Do you celebrate like the whole month of March for St. Patrick's Day?
Pretty much the entire year is St. Patrick's Day for me.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah.
Why not? Why
Todd
not?
says hi.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you some of this. Woo!
Oh, look at that.
No, it also happens to be right around my daughter's birthday, so we have a celebration. So birthday weekend goes into St. Patrick's Day week, and just good vibes all around.
Yeah, and then at the end of it, you're thinking, we've done it for so long. Why don't we just continue?
Yeah, I mean, it's a problem when you stop drinking. That's the real issue.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah,
everything up with you.
People that
Nice
stop.
to see Jay, though. Nice to see Jay. What's up, buddy?
What's happening? I know I've been marinating myself in craft beers in Southern Comfort for the past year, so that's all I got.
Yeah.
Hey,
so,
Don points something out. Last time I saw you, you had a huge beard. When did that come off?
Yeah. That was this week. I hit the wall. I think finally decided to just get a haircut and shave. When when I went into work last week, someone called me a giant leprechaun. So I was like, all right, sláinte.
That would be an oxymoron.
Mm-hmm.
A giant leprechaun.
Exactly. Although it was funny, I said, all right, we're gonna get back to normal here.
All right,
But
not so funny.
Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a surprise.
Ooh. Oh, wow. How much you getting that for on eBay?
Yeah, this is actually my son's. It's in his memory box because it was just, when they were really young, it was 2 books every night before bed. So we read 2 books. And this one kind of came up a lot. And I think I found out what all the hubbub's about. If you guys want to see?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm guessing
I'm
that
afraid.
it's this guy right there.
Yep.
That's
See,
my
Hold on one
guess.
sec. Hold that still. Hold on one sec. I got to. There we go. Oh yeah.
See, so in the 80s, they reprinted it and they actually got rid of the tail and they got rid of his skin being yellow and they got rid of the saying the little Chinese boy. So
If you look at all of the other characters,
yep,
none of them are any color but white.
Yeah.
Even this Sultan looking. Oh, sorry. This guy right here probably should be a little bit brown. I'm guessing he's from the Middle East. I mean, I thought Jesus was the only white guy from the Middle East, but apparently he is as well.
Hold on, let's bring in JC Fusion.
Looking at the book anymore.
You just started looking at the book.
All right, stop yelling at each other, for Christ's sake. You're live.
It's 10
This is what happened to Bill last week, remember?
Hey, I'm on.
What happened to me last week?
You were yelling.
On.
We tried to bring you in. You were yelling about something. Well, I forgot what it
Still
was.
yelling. That's all we do.
Hi,
that's
Jeff.
it.
Hi.
That's great. Those are going for like thousands of dollars online.
That's
Which
what
is
I
kinda
hear.
sad.
I don't really know when that was printed, like what year, what press, but I knew I had at least one copy because, when our kids grew a little bit older, we were like, all right, well, if you want to save some things from your childhood, let's put it in a box together.
Yeah.
And I knew that one went in there. We may have even had another copy that we donated to a library or something stupid like that.
Now it's being burned, so you're all set.
Yeah, good for them.
So I was supposed to have Chips Enuff on, and he hasn't contacted me. And this always happens with the celebrities that I have, celebrity types. But happy to talk to you guys.
I'm telling you, he's going to chime in right at 8:30 because he thinks that it's actually wait, where
Actually,
is he?
you're probably right. He's in Chicago. That's an hour, I think.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I said 7:30 ET.
Yeah.
Jeff, what does your shirt say? Don't poke the bear. It's a Bruin
don't
shirt. Yep.
poke-
I knew it. Yep.
Don't poke the bear.
Yeah.
I love my Bruins.
Anybody still following professional sports?
Yes.
Yeah.
I am. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I
Haven't
mean, I
found
gotta tell
any
you,
reason.
and through COVID, out of all the sports, I think that if you watch a hockey game, they don't care if there's nobody in the stands.
No.
It does not affect their game at all.
Not a bit.
These guys grew up playing in front of their parents, and then they,
Playing in front of nobodies.
yeah, play in front of nobody. And then, I mean, it really takes until you get to about, probably, college and maybe, junior teams or if you're a professional, but in one of the lower tier leagues, until you start really playing in front of people. Like, it's very much like, being a rock star. When you're not a rock star, you're not playing in front of anybody. You show up at, the van pulls into the parking lot somewhere in Virginia. You load out into the bar, and you're the first or second band on, and nobody knows who you are. Very much like that.
It's never happened to us before.
Nah. But you know what? What came up on some of my Facebook memories was our show that we had at Central Tavern, the first Motley Crue Poison tribute show.
Oh my God.
Successful.
Yeah,
Crazy.
that brought in, there was a line at the door. There were people driving up and down the street saying, hell no, we're not stopping. Look at that line. I mean, I'll brag about that because it's the only time it's ever really happened to me, having that many people at a show. So I'll brag about that time, but it's not because we're cool or anything. We just put on a great show and people happen to come out.
Yeah.
There may have been a few people that thought it actually was.
Well, you're right. It's weird because I think the posters, we put the real bands on there, but I'm sure at some point it said tribute. But there were some people, when I teased it like 6 months before, I said coming soon, and I just put their pictures. But even in that night, I think some people thought that.
I think so.
If you think that Motley Crue and Poison are playing at Central, I mean, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Shame on you.
I thought they were.
Yeah, you got to see us though.
The funny thing is, we could probably get Enough's Enough to play Central.
Oh yeah, but we'll just
but
tell them to show up an hour earlier than we actually want them to be here.
I can't start bashing them because I know you're right, Jay. He's gonna join in at 8:30. That's Enough's Enough right there.
I can bash them.
That's
They're just gonna play that one song over and over again.
They had two songs. They really did.
They had
so yeah, they had Fly High Michelle,
yeah.
and New Thing.
Nope.
New Thing was an MTV video. Yeah, it was there. And then they had another album out in 91, which was fantastic, but it just didn't work. And nobody played it.
Enough's enough.
Well,
and then
right around 91 is when grunge hit. And,
right.
I remember hearing an interview with one of the guys from one of the hair bands. He said, we walked into our record company for a meeting, and all our posters was gone. Yeah. And it was Alice in Chains was hanging on the wall, and Soundgarden was hanging on the wall. It was a big change.
Yeah, Janie Lane said that when he walked in, it used to be Warren over the receptionist desk.
Yeah.
And then when he came in looking for money in 92, 93, it was Alice in Chains above the desk. And they said, bye.
I mean, I don't want to get too far into that, but I think it was about time for a change.
I agree.
But I will definitely say that when this happened, everyone ended up missing out on a lot of really cool hair metal because everyone switched over, and like the remainder of these bands that put out a couple more albums before they just stopped were never heard on the radio at all. Like that was it. It was grunge and classic rock. That was it.
Yeah,
Firehouse was one of the few bands that made it, like 92, 93. They were able to kind of get over the hump before they just totally, disappeared. But that album that they had with the chick with the fire in the background had at least 2 or 3 singles on it, and that was right around the time grunge was hitting.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
big time.
I
And
said, I was going to say,
I wanted to make one point about that whole grunge scene where, you know, a lot of people said, you know, it was Nirvana that kicked the door down, and it probably was, but a couple of years earlier, Metallica had paved the way because they started getting a little bit of airplay with song 1. So heavier music was being a little bit earlier than that, because that was like 88, 89. So all of a sudden, that band, Metallica, shows up. They actually get MTV airplay and radio play for the first time. I mean, they were selling millions of albums before that. But I think it also paved the way for something different, too. Like, all of a sudden, you know, these sweaty dudes banging their head versus dudes looking like chicks, you know. It's different, you know. I'm not saying anything bad, because I liked a lot of that stuff, too. You know, I mean.
That chick's got her shirt open there. That's not right.
Yeah, that one's hot.
I was watching the video, Jeff. You missed the video. The lead singer looks like a chick, like lipstick and everything.
Oh,
that was a
and
requirement.
That was the style. I couldn't
look at that. See,
but it was great.
Hot hit. Yeah, Firehouse was always a hot hit at Strawberries.
Firehouse was huge. Like, was it 90? I think I was a freshman in high school, 91 or something.
Yeah, it was early 90s.
And
by the way,
still going strong.
When you're talking about hair bands, the sweet spot I really think is 88 to 92.
Oh, absolutely.
Because a lot of those 80s hair bands spilled into the 90s, as we've been talking about.
Well, the good ones, they stuck around.
Yeah.
But I do remember actually sitting there and watching Nirvana, Smells Like Teen Spirit, for the first time on MTV, and just being like, oh, damn, things are going to change right now, because this is such a huge swing in a different direction.
And I was like, swing.
And I knew I liked it. And I'm like, a lot of people are going to like this.
And it's funny because we had a band called Mother Love Bone that was almost like the gap between the glam rock into because it was partly Pearl Jam, Mother Love Bone. They just had a different singer. But when they started, it was towards the end of the hairband stuff, and the lead singer looked very glam. And he was that. So that band was almost the bridge from glam to grunge.
Yeah, and also in that area, in that whole Seattle scene, previous to that, Queensryche was making a huge run in the late 80s. So it was, and I mean, I don't care what you're in. When you have somebody with that much success from your scene or from your area, it has to have an impact.
Absolutely.
Because those guys probably more prog than they were hair metal, but even though they had to tease up the hair and stuff, you got to do all that. But the bottom line is that it was very operatic prog rock as opposed to what turned out to be what hair metal was doing at the time. And again, I mean, I don't think that I'm going to say I hate all that band, because I don't hate all of any genre. But towards the end, it was pretty rough, man. There was a lot of dog shit you had to wade through to get through to a good spot.
Yeah.
If they were just signing anybody who had lipstick on and could sell out somewhere on the Sunset Strip.
They didn't sign me. I didn't have a
But there was
band at
also
that time either.
There was also a time where those bands that did have the lipstick on, all of a sudden they're wearing blue jeans and ripped T-shirts, and their hair came down just a little bit, and they were trying to fit in with the grunge scene. If you listen to any hair band that put out an album in 92 or 93, I guarantee you all of them are darker.
Well, I think the most fun thing to watch is to watch the evolution of Kiss and how they literally changed their outfits just with every era of what they were supposed to do. Down to grunge as well. And actually, I forget the name of the album, though. It wasn't actually grunge, but they dressed grunge, and it was actually a good album.
Yeah, and even way before that, they put out a disco song.
Yeah.
Which really isn't all that bad.
No, it went from rock to disco to hair metal to trying to be grunge, and then they just went back to rock and roll.
And they even did a concept album, music from the Elder.
The Elder was awesome. I love concept albums. Operation Mindcrime is genius, by the way.
Yeah, it is. That one I've been listening to. I don't have the record. I have been buying a lot of records recently, but I'm still in the hunt for that one. It's not exactly that easy to find.
Yeah, I don't have
a lot of stuff is pretty tough to find. Like I mentioned the Nevermind shop today. Me and Matt went up there this week and picked up a couple of things. And I mean, he's got great stuff there. I've been to your shop. I bought a couple of records from your place. Just trying to, build up the collection with the staples. It takes a long time.
No, Mick is jam-packed with good vinyl there.
Yeah. I picked up a couple of really good ones this week that I've been definitely enjoying.
Andrew Wood did die from Mother Love Bone.
Yeah.
He died in like 91 or 92. Like he just missed the scene.
Yeah, they were right on the cusp of getting something done too. And
then the rest of the band went on to be Pearl Jam.
Just like Bradley from Sublime. Right before they got famous, he died, and then Sublime hit huge, and he couldn't take any advantage of it.
Yeah. That's right. Never mind. Yeah.
Good plug.
Jay, you're right. Hold on. Quick question though.
Yeah.
From Johnny Wilbur here from My FM. Best hair band of all time.
Poison.
Well, see, the problem is that I don't consider them a hair band, and I would say Def Leppard all the way. But I think they're more of a rock band than a hair metal band.
Yeah, and that's Zajac would argue with this that Crew is not a hair band, just like Queensryche is not a hair band. They fall into the same category. Chip Enuff from Enuff Enough will agree that they weren't a hair band. They were much more than that. And we're going to talk to Chip in just a second because Jay, you're right. He's in a different time zone. So yeah. So guys, you want to hold tight for a sec?
Sure.
All right, hold tight. I'll be right back. All right, let's bring in our guest, Chip Enuff. What's up, brother?
Good.
Hey,
Can you see me?
Can you hear me?
How you doing, bro?
I can see you. Yeah, how you doing?
I can hear you good. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
I can see you. I can see your trademark glasses there, man. Looking good, man.
Guilty as charged.
Chip Enuff, ladies and gentlemen, from Enuff's Enough. We played the video from way back when. New thing a little bit earlier during the show. Fly High Michelle, the other big one from 90, 89, 90 off their debut album, which is self-titled. I mean, you guys, I remember MTV. I remember the heyday of MTV. I remember watching the videos, waiting for them to come out. And I can distinctly remember New Thing being in my rotation. Got to see this video. Got to see this video. The band was amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, Chip's Enuff. I want to say Chip Zale because we do have a Chip Zale in town that plays music. So I keep.
Yeah, no relation to Chip Enuff.
No. You're in Chicago, right?
Chicago lad, born and bred.
Yeah. Nice. So that's where you is that where you play mostly, or are you guys traveling around?
No, when I do my radio show on the Monsters of Rock on the Dash Radio Network, I've been doing a lot of that here in Blue Island, in my hometown, out of my studio. I just send the cues to Los Angeles, but a lot of it's all live. All the shows are live, and that's real special. So it's not like somebody calling in and then a computer picks up and tells you that they won't listen or play one of your songs. It's pretty much a celebration of life. 365 days a year, 24/7, nothing but hard rock and heavy metal. That's what I've been doing over here. That and making other records and, helping produce a few bands. Steve Ramone just finishing up his record, doing this band called Midnight Devils, which is members from Pretty Boy Floyd. They're in the studio recording with us. And then I'm doing my little Beatle thing that I got coming out at the end of the month. I'm playing at that Monsters of Rock Cruise. It's a live streaming show, and it's called Hard Rock Night. Hard Rock Night, like a play off a Hard Day's Night. And it's a whole set of the Beatles songs done like Judas Priest meets Queen. It's just heavier than sin. It's great. And it's really challenging, too, playing all those old Beatles songs. And we're not just picking out the little hits. I want to hold your hand. It's the heavy side of the Beatles, from early stuff like Magical Mystery Tour down to Dear Prudence off the White Album, and Eleanor Rigby, another great version of that one that would not just strings, just hard guitars, heavy, tuned down to low D, really powerful. And then, back in the USSR and A Little Help from My Friends, it's just a big potpourri of Beatles songs. So that's on February, or I should say that's March 27th on the Monsters of Rock cruise. You can get that if you want to check us out in a live streaming show before we actually embark on our next tour, which starts sometime in June, I'm told. It's called the Quarantine Tour with Faster Pussycat.
Talk about the bands that you played with back in the day compared to the bands you're playing with now, like Faster Pussycat. What's it like now touring with those bands? Because Enough's Enough, Faster Pussycat, big partying bands if we're talking about 1989, 1990. What's it like now touring with those guys?
Well, back in the old days, we were touring around. We were in a bread truck, bro, and in vans, in little Oscar Mayer and Wiener wagons. We were following around bands like Badlands or Def Leppard or Cheap Trick. That game a little bit. It's great. The bands that are out there they bring a lot of fun to the shows. They're very experimental. They're playing their catalog and they're playing their new material as well. I think the newer bands are just as strong. Remember, they all came from the same place. Faster Pussycat, they were on tour in the old days with Motley Crue. So we've all toured. We played the sheds and arenas and stadiums, and now we're in theaters, and sometimes we do club dates. Or I think it doesn't matter where you go to. Who cares who drives the bus? Let's get to the picnic. It's a bunch of great shows that are going out there, and we're playing songs to the people that the first time they got hired, the first time they got laid, they heard our music and seen our shows and watched us on MTV. It's all real good at the end of the day. I just want to see concerts get back out there. And I think that we're getting closer and closer to where we can open up those gates and we can start seeing some live shows. And maybe they'll start with a couple of big ones. I mean, they let 25,000 people into the football games. There's no reason why you can't go to a baseball game now. They're going to open that up where 10,000 fans there as well. There's no reason why we couldn't go out there and play shows and play to 1,000 people. Everybody's respectful, wears a mask, social distances. You're going to be in good shape and you'll be able to watch live performance again. And that's what I'm looking forward to, because, come on, it's been a year right now for all of us. All those crew guys that are out there that are out of work right now, people, sound guys and guitar techs and people behind the scenes that help put these shows on, they all want to get back on it again. It's real important that we start off the right way after these vaccines, which is live shows, still being safe, work our way through. By next year, it'll be perfect for everybody, I have a feeling. But right now, let's be cautious. The shows are going to happen. We're celebrating all these bands, and it's going to be the Wild West when it all opens up. There'll be no room for anybody to play. All the gigs will be booked. So you better get them now, folks.
All those stimulus checks are going to go to concert tickets, I think.
Well, the stimulus checks, I'm sure, are going to help out a few people. We're not talking about it's a bandage on a gunshot wound, okay? Stimulus checks are going to help a little bit, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there. I didn't ask for one because I know there's people that need them more than I do. But all that money is going to help a lot of different people, paying their mortgage, getting food on the table. It's a nice thing. I wish it didn't take so long, but I'm looking at the glass half full. We're getting the stimulus checks. People are going to want to get back out there and see shows again, theaters, plays, rock concerts. It's all going to open up, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
So now over the last 3 or 4 years, maybe you've been fronting the band. Donnie V had left because, from what I understand, he didn't want to tour anymore. So you took over the reins as lead singer and bassist of Enough's Enough. How's that been? I mean, you didn't the first 3/4 of your career as Enough's Enough, you had another guy singing. Is it difficult to make that transition, or was it pretty natural for you?
Well, I think that Donnie V will go down as one of the quintessential singers of our generation. Once people hear these songs, they go back and listen to the catalog. Guy's fabulous. Those are 1 and 2 takes in the studio. He's as good as anybody out there. Of course, he got disillusioned by the business after 30 years of dedicating his whole life to it. And, I'm sure that those, I've seen him in handcuffs before, and it's a nice accessory on him. He wears them well. But I seen the guy every single night in concert, and he did the best he could every night and carried those shows and sang those songs. He's a fabulous frontman. To take over, I didn't want the gig, but it was pretty much my only way to go when it came to making a decision if I'm going to continue moving on with Enuff Snuff. And I looked at bands like Stone Temple Pilots and Journey and, of course, Styx and Kansas and any of the great bands that are out there, especially Journey, that have went out and got lead singers. And look what they've done. They've really taken, and those are bands that sold millions and millions of records. So it's a little different than Enuff Snuff is. But I looked at every band and I seen that there was one band, Genesis, when they had Peter Gabriel. He was in the band all those years. And then he split and Phil Collins took over lead vocals. And that was the template I used. And just went out there, rehearsed, put together a great band with Tori Stoffregan from Black Mollies, of course. And he was also in a couple other distinguishable bands. Otherwise, Motherload was a great one that he played with. And I got Dan Hill, Daniel Benjamin Hill. He's been around for years. Wonderful drummer, session guy, does movies and soundtracks. Got Tony Fennell to come in. He did it for a couple of years from Ultravox. Fabulous singer and songwriter. Then Tony took a break, and I went and got Alex Kane from Life, Sex, and Death, who was the first guitar player in Enuff Snuff, to come in and play the shows. He's been with us ever since. He's doing a great job. And I've added another guy too. I got Steve Ramone playing with us as well, Joey Ramone's nephew. So it's a formidable band right now. It takes all those guys to sing those songs to bring them to life on those records. And the fans have spoken, and we're on Frontiers Records. We got just signed another 3-album deal. And we're also with, we're putting all our catalog stuff out on Cleopatra Records as well. I think the band's moving stronger and better than it's ever moved before right now. We've got a lot of good things happening for us. Getting all that music out there is the most important thing to me. Getting the catalog out on Cleopatra Records, all those old records that we did when we recorded with the guys in Cheap Trick and Billy Corrigan and JY from Styx, all the way down to the J. Key Lee Dissonance record that he played with us on. Those are albums that you can't find in these stores or anywhere. So to have them all released around the country is fabulous. And with Frontiers, they've been good to us. The last couple records, Clown's Lounge, of course, Diamond Boy, and then the last record we just put out, Brainwashed Generation, have all done well for us. And it's keeping us out there and keeping us in a position where people go, you know what, these guys aren't living off the past. Of course, we play those hit songs in concert, but we mix them up. It's a big potpourri, A through Z, the whole alphabet. And I hope that people get a chance when everything opens up to come out and check out the shows. And same thing with Faster Pussycat, by the way. They're in the studio recording new music all the time. The band sounds great. It's going to be a killer concert. You kidding me? It's not going to cost you $200-300 to go see those bands play. And both those.
I think I lost them. Yep, lost Chip. What a charismatic guy, huh? How about
Yes,
Chip,
man.
huh?
That was awesome.
If that's it, if that's all I got from Chip, I'm happy.
Music all the time. No.
Oh my gosh. Hold on, he's coming back. Hold on.
What happened there?
I don't know. So you've got Donnie on one of the tracks, right? From the new album.
Yeah. I was lucky enough I called Donnie. He says, hey, Chip, I'd like you to play on one of the tracks on my new record, Beautiful Things. I have a song called Party. I think it's a great one. And actually, when I heard the song, it sounds like something him and I wrote a while ago, to be honest with you. And he goes, I got Roger Manning from Jellyfish to play on it as well. You interested? I said, yeah, man, no problem. He goes, what do I owe you? I said, nothing. I just fucking playing it. I love you. And anything I could do to help out the new record, I'd be glad to be a part of it. So I went down, shot the video. They spent tens of thousands of dollars shooting a video with a great team. They had this cat that does all these movies and soundtracks. His name's Todd Causley, and he put together a wonderful video. We went in the studio with a guy here in Chicago, an engineer, and he produced the whole thing. And I think it's a great track. And because of that, Donnie says, hey, man, I'd love to do a song on the new Enuff Snuff album. And Strangers in the Night was the song. He sent me a couple ideas. I picked that one. We went in there, we laid it down, and I think it sounds fabulous.
Yeah, it's nice to hear you guys playing again. It was nice to hear Donnie on the track as well. I just want to mention a few people who are watching right now. My buddy Fitch, he's a drummer in one of my bands. Chip, the legend himself, bought a tape in '98 from Strawberries based on the album cover, and have always appreciated him since. My buddy Todd, who's a bass player from the band Bad Marriage, they actually played with you guys when you were in Massachusetts. Chip is so criminally underrated as a bass player.
Very nice to hear, because there's quite a few great bass players out there. I mean, Paul McCartney invented my job. But if you look at all the guys there's so many guys that are underrated. No one ever mentions anything about John Deacon from Queen or Over and Watts from Mott the Hoople. Those are great players. You kidding me?
Yeah.
But we know Chris Squire, we know Geddy Lee. The list goes on out of the great bass players that are out there. Just to be mentioned as a footnote is good enough for me. I got to be honest with you. I never cared about having to be number one guy. I just want to play the songs as well as I can, and that's the most important thing, laying down the right foundation for the great songs. And that's it at the end of the day. I love singing too, and I love playing guitar and everything else. I play more than one instrument, but bass is quintessentially what I picked up in the beginning and what I'm known for, and I'm grateful just to be recognized a little bit at all. Thank you, Todd. I appreciate your kind words.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't know. I mean, influences could run the whole gamut of bands from the past, but I feel like when I listen to Enuff's Enough, I get a lot of Beatles, and you've mentioned the Beatles already a few times. I feel like I hear Beatles and then definitely Cheap Trick. Am I right there?
I think there's more influences than that. If you show me a guy without influences, I'll show you a guy who hasn't written one note. So I believe that there's a ton of different bands. When I was growing up, I was listening to Zeppelin and Queen, and then I went over and of course I love Cheap Trick, but I love Squeeze, and I love the old Captain Beyond, or Crack the Sky, bands that a lot of people don't know about that are fabulous, wonderful songwriters and just great songs and great grooves. There's thousands of bands out there that I like. There's hundreds that I hail beyond belief. And I always wear their influences probably on my sleeve. It's not just about Cheap Trick or the Beatles. It's just that it happens that we have that kind of a sound, but we're not listening to those records and pillaging off them. And God knows that we've certainly been influenced by those groups. But there's many more bands out there. Early Alice Cooper, that was one of my biggest influences as a kid. And I've always loved that early stuff, the Killers record and Love It to Death. Anything Alice Cooper was great. Welcome to My Nightmare. That was a fabulous band too, by the way. I listen to a lot of different stuff, underground, and I listen to punk stuff too as well. My engineer, Rob Posen, who does the Enuff Snuff albums with me, he loves the Damned and the Dickies and Sex Pistols, and there's just a Brinks truck full of bands out there that we go, wow, this is great stuff. More people need to hear this. And if we stop making music nowadays, all of us, we just continue to commence making any records at all, there's enough music to last us for lifetimes out there.
What's the last thing you listened to that surprised you? Like maybe it's a pop singer, maybe it's a more youthful band. What's the last thing you listened to that you downloaded on iTunes or whatever the case may be? You're like, oh my God, I didn't think I would like that. Country, rap.
I didn't download it because I don't download music on iTunes ever. If I bought something, maybe I would do that, but I like to buy physical copies. I'm still living in the past. I like having albums. I like having CDs. That's important to me. The last thing that really tripped my trigger beyond belief was a band called the Lemon Twigs. You got to check them out, folks. Yeah. The Lemon Twigs are happening. Two brothers. I think the singer's maybe 21. His brother's like 19 years old. He plays drums, plays guitar. They play all the instruments. They're fabulous musicians. I like them so much that I had my wife reach out to their management company and tell them it was my birthday, and they sent me a CD. And listen, that's a band you want to. That's a band that'll trip your trigger beyond belief. LemonTwigs.com. Check them out because you'll be happy I told you about them. Cross between a little bit of Cheap Trick, a little bit of perhaps Beatle influences in there as well. It's just a real nice potpourri of pop rock stuff. The guitar player's a fabulous musician. All the guys in the band are great as well. And I'm surprised they're not getting more traction because that's a band that deserves to be heard. The Lemon Twigs, fabulous.
Back in the day, you guys were on Howard Stern. He really took a liking to you guys. Talk about.
He still does.
Does he really? Yeah. Tell me if you still have a relationship with him. Still talk to him because he loved you, and I think I saw something from his Channel 9 show back in like 91, 92, where you guys played. What a crazy scene that was.
Yeah, I've been on the show. That was a great party that we had back in WGN days. Because none of us knew what we were doing, and we were all in the seat of our pants. We showed up at a guy's mansion. The guy had a Brinks truck full of money. He said, I want to have a show. You guys can use my house. And then he came in there and obliterated the whole place. We had prostitutes in one room, people getting massages in another room. bands that were playing live performances in one room, a cooking show. It was really off the chain. Wonderful time though hanging out with them. But I've been on the show over a dozen times. I've been on there with Enuff Snuff. I've been on there with Steven Adler from Guns N' Roses when he was putting out his book, and when we were touring around the country as Adler's Appetite. He's always been wonderful to us. Just a couple weeks ago, talking about Enuff Snuff, how he loves our sound and we should be huge. That's a true friend right there. You know, he grabbed onto us back in late '89 when Dee Snider's brother, Mark Snider, who was a radio rep over at Atco Records, turned us on to him, says, hey, I want you to meet this guy, Howard Stern. We didn't know anything about him because we were from Chicago. And so we went to a show, and ever since then, been brothers. He loves the music. We share the same common knowledge when it comes to hard rock and heavy metal. You know, he listens to Mountain, and he loves the Ramones, and I do too. Those are bands that we love, but he also loves Cheap Trick and Queen and all that English stuff as well over across the pond. And I'm a fan of that as well. He's a big David Bowie fan. So musically, that's what connected us all. But, you know, he says one thing to me. He says, I hate any kind of professionalism in life. And I have to agree with him on that. Let's have a party and have a good time. And let's not worry about any bumps in the road, okay? It's about getting through and enjoying your life while we're here right now and celebrating what we got in front of us.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a great way to live. And it's nice to see that you guys are still doing what you're doing and you're staying true. I mean, I think I read an interview where somebody asked you, if you weren't playing music, what would you be doing? And you said, I've been doing this forever. This is what I do. What else would I want to do?
Yeah, I mean, I used to play baseball when I was a kid. I got a chance to do pretty well in sports. And I played football, baseball, basketball, hockey. I was a real jock. And I think I took some of those elements and used them when I put together Enough's Enough. I had bands before this. My first band I put together was called Degeneration. And after I graduated from Brother Rice High School, I moved right to Los Angeles, moved to my aunt's house in Norco, California. And then her boyfriend, he was a guy who bought all kinds of real estate and stuff. He took us to Vegas, and our first gigs were opening up for Boss Skaggs and the Grateful Dead. And I was a little kid, 17 years old, just graduated from high school, playing big shows and hanging out with the big boys. And I worked my way through and doing gigs where we were sharing the stage with the Babies and Cheap Trick. And then a lot of good things happened. And those formidable years really left an indelible mark with me. And here I am after all these years. If I had to start a new career over, I don't know what I would do, because I don't think about that. It was not a B plan. It was just about, let's make music, put records out there, go tour around the country, and see if it sticks.
Are you still part of the Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp?
Do the Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp quite a bit. As a matter of fact, they have a new movie out right now called Rock Camp. And everybody's in it, from Slash to Roger Daltrey and the whole gamut of rock stars, from Oyster Cult, Cheap Trick. They all come in there and they all do this show. And it's called Rock Camp. It's out right now. Anybody can get it. It's number, I think it's 93 on Rotten Tomatoes. It's really doing well. And the guy that put it all together is a guy named David Fishoff. He runs the Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp. And he calls me all the time to do stuff. I've been giving him a lot of love on my Monster Rock program as well, but he doesn't need my help. The movie's #1 right now in new independent movies, and I think he put together a wonderful team. And you want to see your favorite rock stars in a room together playing, because that's what it's all about, Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp. It's musicians, doctors, lawyers, attorneys, people that work jobs that live their life vicariously through their favorite musicians, and they pay a certain amount of money to go to Los Angeles or Las Vegas, wherever it would be, to sit in and play with those guys for 3 days. And it commences with all the players getting on stage at the Whiskey A Go-Go and playing a show in front of an audience. It's fantastic. It's really a nice template when you think about it, because how many guys, when we were younger and we went to go see rock concerts and shows, we never got a chance to go backstage. We never got a chance to meet our favorite rock stars, let alone plug our instrument into an amplifier or get on a microphone and sing. So it's really a special moment when they put this together years ago, and it's doing fabulous right now. So if you want to check out that movie Rock Camp, you'll be able to see regular musicians just like any of us, and regular people in life that all have gotten together, and for 3 days it's spend their life living it vicariously through their favorite guys. Yeah, it's really good. I think you'd enjoy it. It costs a Brinks truck to get on there. It's like probably $5,000 to do that. But like I said, you couldn't do that in the past. It was never in the template of when rock concerts were. Now there's meet and greets, and you go backstage, you can buy a Paul Stanley guitar that you just played on stage for $21,000 with a strap, or you can get Gene Simmons for 10 grand to sign one of his basses for you. Those moments weren't around when we were younger. Boy, things have certainly changed.
I think that's on my bucket list, is doing the rock and roll fantasy camp.
Make sure you ask for me, and then I'll be there.
Absolutely, man.
All you gotta do is say you want Chips Enuff as a counselor, and then they'll call me, and I'll fly out there, and I will put together a band for 3 days, and then we'll play the whiskey.
Nice. Well, you know, I'm a singer, and we have a great local scene here in the greater Milford area, which is like south central Massachusetts.
I know where Milford is. I've been over there before. A lot of good looking trim in that area. People love rock and roll and heavy metal out there. It's a great little place to go hang out. And I love playing shows around there as well.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And, you know, if you guys are on the road and you're coming through, then, you know, maybe we'll get you for one of our venues out here. But love to meet you when you come through. Todd, my buddy Todd, who I've played in bands with before, he's in Bad Marriage. They opened for you. I think it was the Vault in New Bedford. But he
wow, what a great place. I love playing there. I played there with I played there with Ace Frehley as well. So I've done a few gigs inside that place. I play with Hookers and Blow there, which is Dizzy Reed from Guns N' Roses and Alex Grassi from Quiet Riot and Johnny Kelly from Typo Negative. We played a show there as well. And there's a little place right now that's right next door to the venue called Purchase Street. And you go over there and get your all kinds of different albums. He's got a vinyl along with, you know, T-shirts and all kinds of rock memorabilia. And that place is great. I love it out there.
Yeah, I mean, the great thing about New Bedford is you can go see Hookers and Blow, and then you can go get some Hookers and Blow. That's what I love.
Yeah,
about
well,
New
nobody's
Bedford.
perfect, and I like that idea as well. There shouldn't be everything should be legal right now except hurting each other. Everything else should be legal. Drugs should be legal. Prostitution legal. Leave it alone, and then any of the bad people out there know where to find where they can find themselves. If they need to trip their trigger, they can go there without any consequences. I like that. I like it loosey goosey out there, and the only laws should be out there if you're trying to hurt somebody or trying to steal. Those should be put in place. Otherwise, it should be a wide open world.
Yeah, peace and love, man. And my buddy Todd says you're one of the nicest people he met there. One of your favorite people in rock and roll.
It's nice of him to say that. It makes me, it feels good when you play shows and you leave an indelible mark with people and they say good things about when you're not around there. That's a true sign of a real artist right there, because, it's not like we do meet and greets or anything. At our shows, we do a sound check experience. If the fans want to meet the band, they come before the show. They watch a 3-song sound check. We take pictures. We hang out. We got everything set up in place where you can see and meet the bands and really spend quality time with us, as opposed to a quick handshake, a pat on the back, and get out and like cattle. So it's nice when people come out, meet the band, and then they have nice things to say about you when the show is all over. That means a lot to me, and it should mean a lot to most musicians out there, because it's at the end of the day, that's all we got left, bro, is our integrity.
That's right, man. All right, before I let you go, I just want to bring in two guys that are in the wings. They joined me after the show, and we have some drinks and we talk, but I do want to introduce them to you. My buddy Jay, who is a singer, and my buddy Bill, who is a bass player in some of my bands. So there's Bill, and there's Jay. Jay and Bill, this is Chip. Say hi to Chip.
What's going on, Chip? You introduced me wrong. I'm an absolutely horrible singer. So
But you are. So I just wanted to introduce you to some of my friends that I love dearly, and I've played music with these guys. And when you're in town, Chip, we'd love to see you sometime.
No, it'd be great, you guys. Listen, it's wonderful when friends get together and they go make music and go hang out, watch concerts and stuff. The stories you guys have in your back pockets, I wish you'd share them with us, because I'm sure a lot of them are unprintable. But at the end of the day, it's always nice to be out with your friends and sharing these experiences with each other. And hey, it's good seeing you guys out there. I hope you come out to an Enough's Enough show. I think the tour starts on June 11th. And it'll be Faster Pussycat and Enough's Enough. And we're doing a 36-city tour. And I'm sure we'll do Bedford, because it's a great place to see rock and roll bands. I love the owners, good people there. Love everything about that place is quality. And we'll be able to chat and shoot the crap when I see you cats out there. But in the meantime, I appreciate you having me on your program, bro. It's very nice of you. I'm in the studio right now working as well. I wish everybody nothing but safe travels wherever you're going to be going to, and I'll be looking forward to seeing everybody on tour at the end of in the middle of June sometime. Hopefully when it's up. By the way, you find problems, come on in your wagon.
All right, take care, brother.
We tour now, guys.
Rock and roll.
See ya. That is Chips Enuff. I'm glad he. Oh, there's JC. He jumped out. Jeff, there you are. I'm glad he made it. I'm glad he made it on. Jay, you were right. It was the time change or the time difference. 7:30, 8:30. But what a great guy.
I wish I had that kind of energy. Holy crap!
I know, right?
I'm so tired right now, and I'm like, man, I gotta wake up. He is just putting everyone to shame.
That's a rock star right there.
You know, and the funny thing was that you remembered everything when you talked about New Bedford. You remembered the shows. You remembered the people.
That's a big deal.
That's cool. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, letting your environment affect you is always a good thing, especially if you're a creative type person.
Well, I'll tell you this, and I know I'm looking up his age because he's very young. Do you know Chip is only 52 years old? Very close to many of us. That surprised me that he was in his early 50s. He was very young when he first came out. Yes, me, me more than anyone else. Okay, so you can make fun of these guys that were big in the 80s, and then they're back touring and like, oh, has-beens, this and that. But these guys are living their best lives. They're just doing what they were born to do, which is perform, be in front of people, make music. How you can't put people like that down.
Yeah, and I think that, if you're out there and you're doing it and you're bringing your best show, it's hard to argue with that. I mean, regardless of your reasons. Jay, what do you think?
If after 30 years, 40 years, you're still able to go out and do exactly that,
if you can make a living doing it,
I think you won at life, man. That's exactly what you want to do.
Justin, what's up, man?
Are we sure that wasn't Chip Zale?
Right? It could have been.
Are we absolutely sure?
I was like,
Very well could have been.
Like Chip.
I kept wanting to call him Chip Zale. Chip Zale. But you know what? I wonder if that was the persona that Chip first grabbed a hold of when he started.
That guy's 52.
52 years old, yeah.
Dude, that's like 144 in rock and roll years.
So
don't I look a lot better at 49 now?
Jeez. We're doing all right. That was a great interview, though. He's got I think it's funny. Like I have no idea who they are. I've never heard any of those songs.
Really? Well, you're a little bit younger than we are, but they were on MTV. They were a staple for about a year.
Never once. I heard that like you play the video, and I was like, yeah, no, never heard it. So it's like but hearing him talk about like, it's like, oh, we did this, we toured these guys, we did this. Well, like he was in Adler's Appetite. It's like, oh, all right, well, I know that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you were the bass player. Like you didn't have the glasses on. Like it's like trying to like put it all together.
Both of them.
He had the first album was 89, and that had the 2 singles on it. And after that, their second album was better than the first, but like we talked about earlier, they were moving into the grunge era, so they kind of lost out. And then but Stern took a liking to them. They were always on Stern, and they just kept pumping out albums that just couldn't get back on the radio again. So they're one of those bands that was like, oh, I remember them, but they faded too quickly. But as we just talked about, they still made their music, and they're like 10 albums in, and good for them.
If I could make a living doing that, I would do it.
Yeah.
Touring, playing clubs, releasing albums. Shit, yeah.
Yeah. I remember, actually, it triggered my memory when he said he was on Stern. I've heard at least 2 of his interviews on there.
Yeah.
And he's the same guy.
I was watching something from like 92 from Stern, and I forgot how Stern was back then with the whole the FCC, that whole thing. Because now he's a little bit more subdued, but man, he was crazy back then.
And his voice was a lot different too. He was on hey.
Baba boy.
Jeff, your beer can for it, yeah. Or it's getting more, keeps getting more and more. Oh, it looks like a castle, yeah.
Yeah, I'm adding back to it.
You got a moat of beer in front of it.
Remember,
I'm in the moat.
If you ever don't hear from Jeff for like a couple of days, go down to his house because he's trapped under a wall of cans. top of him.
They all fell down on top of him.
Allie's knocked them all down.
Yeah, she.
On purpose.
So I'd like to plug that Justin and I will be playing Peppercinis on St. Patrick's Day from 4 to 7.
Nice. Get a gig.
Yeah.
And a tent with sides on it. You can play outside in a parking lot in a tent with sides on it, but you can't play in a building with sides on it.
No, you can't. You can't. You're right. I mean, it's a good point.
Justin.
Yes.
Here you go, buddy.
I saw that.
Going on eBay.
That's a collector's item, man.
Yeah. I could turn that thing into another Fender P bass, I think.
I saw Music Emporium posted one that looked pretty sweet.
Yeah.
It was like a 97 or something like that. Not to.
I think that the next bass guitar I get would probably be a Gibson or.
Which Gibson?
They have a couple that I like. They have the old grabbers from the 70s are nice. It's either that or a Rickenbacker.
Oh, I like those. I've always wanted to get a Rickenbacker.
The big ugly Lemmy bass.
I'd like to point out that during the break, Jeff managed to get out and change his wardrobe into a nice Labor Day Bash T-shirt. One of my favorite T-shirts that the Don Bailey made with the Godzilla T-shirt.
Hold on. Look at that.
I like it.
That's my,
very nice.
You know what?
By the way, the beach. That way.
Hey, Jeff. Do your Chips Enuff impression.
Yeah, you watched. That's funny you saw that. It was like, oh, you asked me a question. Oh, yeah, I wanted to tell you. Those guys in Guns N' Roses. Whoa, they're fucking crazy. Oh, my God. Oh, was I not? Oh, I swore. Sorry.
I was trying to figure out why he was so close.
I don't think he thought you could hear him, so he had to get closer to the microphone.
He asked me 5 times at the beginning of the interview. I could hear him. He sounded fine.
Like chocolate rain.
I step away from the mic, breathe in.
I did appreciate how attentive he was, though. I appreciate how attentive he was.
It was good.
Yeah, man, that's good.
And then at the end of a question, after he'd answer the question, he would do this. And then I would ask the question, and then he would go. So
you saw my new album. It's amazing, isn't it?
I appreciated that any question you asked, he had a good, 5-minute long story to go along with it.
He did, yeah.
Honestly, that's not easy because if you listen to me, I end up starting to get really incoherent when I start doing stuff like that. But I could actually follow along to everything he was saying, so that was impressive.
Well, sometimes people have nothing to say either. It's just they don't even want to be there. I mean, I'm just some jamoke. Who we lose? Bill? We lost Bill.
I had nothing to say.
I'm just some jamoke with a little Facebook show that 14 people watch at any given time, and he's happy to be there.
Jamoke. That's
14, and 3 of them are you.
That's true.
So anytime I can get something out of somebody who takes the time to come on my show, who could be miserable, like this guy won't stop bothering me, I just have to talk to him and get it over with. Luckily, I haven't had that yet. The guy from the Punch Baby Yoda, he was okay, but he was a bit standoffish. He didn't really want to do it.
I think he felt that was the kind of thing. I think he wanted to do it, but you could tell he just woke up.
Or high as fuck.
That just look though.
Is next week who I think it is, or is it 2 weeks?
No, next week is Coogan. Yeah, Keith Coogan.
Ooh. Don't tell Mom Chris Dead's Keith Coogan, man.
It's funny too because look at that. Joy loves me and my awesome friends. That's you guys.
That's crazy.
That's you, I think. I was getting she was also getting dizzy with the In and Out from Chip. That's funny. What was I saying? It's amazing how much Coogan has been in, and you don't realize it until you look at his IMDb, or you're just watching. I was watching Tin Soldiers. Remember that movie, Tin Soldiers, with everybody was in that. He was in that as well.
Well, I was gonna say the top there's a top three. There's Don't Tell Mom. There is Adventures in Babysitting, and Hiding Out. Those are the top three.
Well, see, he was in 2 babysitter movies.
Yeah.
What was the other one?
Adventures in Babysitting.
And Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. Oh yeah, duh.
So
I never put that together.
It must have been like a Facebook thing because it popped up. It's like, 10 things you didn't know about Adventures in Babysitting. And I was like, oh, well, I got to see what this is. And it was a bunch of stupid facts, stuff like that. But they actually had a TV show that aired once.
What?
They had a pilot for Adventures in Babysitting, the TV show, and Brian Austin Green and somebody else was in it.
You are a liar. I'm
dead serious. I'm dead serious. It aired once. The pilot aired, and it never went anywhere. They didn't pick it up.
It must be on YouTube. Then I'm gonna have to watch it.
So you got to try to find that one. I thought that was a cool fact. But it's like, yeah. So Keith Coogan had 2 successful movies that revolved around babysitting.
Yep.
So I'll ask you guys, what's the worst question I could ask him?
You know what I always think is the worst question?
You got a BB gun in dishes.
When someone asks them, "Oh, well, what was Patrick Dempsey like? Talk about him."
Okay. What was Christina Applegate like? Was she hot?
That's what's the worst. It's like when someone asks another, celebrity, well, what was this celebrity like? Because they're really famous now, and unfortunately, you're not.
How hot is Elizabeth Shue?
She's hot.
Because I put her and Leah Thompson are like in the same category for me. Like those are like the 80s crushes.
Yeah. Both still cute, by the way.
Very cute, yes.
On Cobra Kai, for God's sakes, she's still smoking.
Christina Applegate, too. Still looking good.
Oh, yeah. I love her in Bad Moms. Hilarious, too.
All right. What's another bad question I should ask Keith Coogan? I get that because I think I forgot who I was talking to a couple weeks ago, but I was mentioning someone they were associated with more than them. And then I had to reel it back saying, I'm sorry, this is about you.
You get excited at first because you're like, oh, yeah, we can talk about this person too. And then you're like, oh, shit, let's not do that. Because then the person's like, yeah, I know you want to talk about George Clooney because I was in that TV show with him that one time.
Don's right. She was hot in The Boys.
Oh, my God.
He was in the Army now, that Pauly Shore movie from 90.
Was he really?
Yes. He was.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Stoner number 1. You need to ask him, what is it like being stoner number 1 coming off of Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead?
Or how about playing stoner number 1 in a Pauly Shore movie? He's stoner number 1. How bad is that movie where they actually have to have other stoners of importance? That's a great, I love this from Todd. Who was the first choice for your role? Such a slap in the face. I know it wasn't you. Who did you take the role from?
Was it Sean Astin? It was Sean Astin, wasn't it?
Sean Astin was not a role.
There it is.
I didn't read that. I just literally
This is actually, I think that this is a good question. Was there a role ever offered that I bet you he was offered the Goonies in some way? Well, or maybe he tried out for it, probably.
I mean, I'm sure that, just like the Brat Pack, there was, this gaggle of kids that were trying out for all these movies all the time. So, yeah, I'm sure there was plenty of gigs that he didn't get that. Or gigs that, imagine stuff that he might have turned down.
Yeah. That's a fun question, but sometimes that's that's a touchy subject for actors because they're just bitter about it. But from what I've learned from Sean Astin is he does like talking about the past. I interviewed him on the radio. He doesn't mind talking about the past. As a matter of fact, he was in the new Jay and Silent Bob reboot playing himself. And I don't think what's his name would have had him in that movie if he was playing a character.
Right.
So I think he's living like vicariously through his younger self now.
What was the show that Sean Astin was just in, like where he wore like
Stranger Things?
Stranger Things. So he had the tie and everything like that. There was another movie that he was in. It was a movie or a show like he wore like mesh tops.
Oh, that was the Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore movie.
Yeah.
50 First Dates. 50 First Dates.
That was on the other day, and it's like I totally forgot he was in this.
He had a lisp. And he had the mesh shirts. He was a bodybuilder.
He was the younger brother. Yeah.
Yeah.
He tried to beat him up.
The only reason to watch that is Sean Astin. That's the only reason. The movie is crap, but he is hilarious.
And Adam Sandler kicked his ass, so that's pretty messed up.
Here's another.
In a Click, where he ended up going with Adam Sandler's wife in that movie. And remember, they pause, they fast forward, and at the end he was just in Bed Bath and Beyond, so everything was fine. But I remember one scene where he literally pauses Sean Astin, pulls down his pants, and kicks him in the balls, and then hits play, and he's just like, oh.
Somebody wrote that.
Yeah,
Right.
So at this point, you freeze, and then you kick them in the balls. That was brought up in a meeting somewhere.
Brilliant. I'll do it.
He did that with Hasselhoff too. He paused and he's just like bam, 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 and then unpaused, and Hasselhoff's like, "Wow, I've got such a headache."
I love when you start talking about Adam Sandler movies and you start with a good one, and then it slowly trickles down to some of the worst movies he's ever made. And then remember Bedtime Stories? Oh,
No.
It doesn't take
Never
long.
mind.
You get right to it.
Nope.
I love that.
you know,
I love.
come on.
Happy Gilmore is my favorite movie.
Yeah, well, that's classic.
Absolute favorite. Well, obviously.
I don't know. I think Billy Madison was the peak.
Really, the peak? Oof.
Then you just slowly.
His peak, yes. Oh yeah.
He's My Boy was absolutely hilarious from
Yes.
start to finish. And that's one of the ones that you were going to be like, oh, this is going to be junk. It's a later, Adam Sandler movie. No, friggin' hilarious. Absolutely. And actually, Grandma's Boy, which he was running it in, I think is the best Adam Sandler movie there is.
Yeah, he wasn't in it. That's why.
No,
the guy that
it wasn't in it.
his buddy was in it. That was
Happy
like,
Madison did it.
The entire cast of every Adam Sandler movie's in it.
but it's funny. You only saw the guy play the limo driver in Wedding Singer, and he pops up as like the homeless guy and Big Daddy. Never really a starring role. I don't know if it was maybe one point he's like, "Give me my own movie. Give me my own movie." Fine, take the fucking movie, and that's all you get for the rest of my life. You're playing bums in all my movies, and it turned out to be a really good movie. Yeah,
Except I love the guy that played the robot. I'm a robot.
I don't know. I take that back. I think Wedding Singer was probably one of his better ones too. That one
I hate your face.
Wedding Singer is actually probably my favorite Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah.
Because it was a comedy, but it wasn't the Billy Madison type comedy.
Right. It was funny, but it was kind of like rom-commy. But
yeah.
Kinda. It was smooshy at the end. But it was funny until then.
But it had no, it didn't have Billy Idol. What
Yes,
movie
it
am I
It was
thinking of?
Billy Idol.
That was
yeah.
Wedding Singer.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
it
was
was-
Wedding Singer. That's right.
The
But it
best,
had, Lovitz had like one of his best characters.
the best
Out of my
part
way, Billy.
is you I don't know if any of you guys watch the Goldbergs.
Yeah.
Last season,
Yes.
they
They
connected
behind the Wedding Singer.
and interwoven this episode with new scenes with John Lovitz and actually had them on the same plane as them.
Yeah.
That was genius. Absolute genius.
I thought it was
Yeah, Adam Goldberg is awesome. He does such a good job. Jack's a huge fan. So when we're not watching new episodes, he's going through the whole catalog. 8 years that movie, that TV show has been on.
Really?
8 years, yeah. It is.
Oh, yeah.
So good.
I love it. I mean, it's very formulaic, but I still love it.
You know, Don, that is that is a guest that I would love to have on.
You chased
I
them
love
all.
Sandler.
You chased them all over like Milford, Hopedale, and Uxbridge.
I did. You know what I love about Sandler? I love the fact that he's loyal to his friends. He's got a group of friends that he's had in every movie, right? And then he keeps collecting friends. And it seems like all of Hollywood wants to do cameos in his movies, which speaks to his character, I think.
I would love to see Grown Ups 3, but are we not going to have it because the kid died?
I don't think so, but I know
He
died.
Died.
The kid that played his kid.
Yeah.
How'd he die?
He just he had a weird disease. He was in that show Jesse. My kids watched him and everything.
Yeah. That just happened, right?
2 years ago, maybe.
But I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like I couldn't imagine. I wanted Grown Ups 3, but I'd be like, how do you explain it? The only way you could explain it is literally he died, and that's why the group comes together again. Seriously.
Ooh, that's dark.
It is dark, but I mean, that's life.
Yeah.
And they shoot hoops, play basketball, and make fun of each other.
You could. I don't know if you want to take advantage of it, but you could do that. You could write that in the movie.
You could.
Because he'd be older now anyway. He'd probably be 20 at this point in the movie.
He left the house. He got a job.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. He doesn't have to be in it,
He's
really.
not.
Yeah,
he
the
doesn't have
kids
to.
aren't in it at all.
Actually, I would rather see a grown-ups with no kids involved.
Right, make it a parents only weekend kind of thing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Huh.
Right.
Like they
All
go
right.
to Portland, go to pizza places.
So Adam Sandler, we're writing this movie right now.
I'm writing the idea right now. This is how I can get him on. I'll say I have a script idea for you.
Yeah. And we go to Waterwiz. It'll be great.
Frank Sinatra back in the day would make movies with his buddies just so that they could play in Vegas. They'd gamble all day, they'd shoot at night, and they'd do shows, and that was it. That's the only reason why they made movies. And I kind of have a feeling that Adam Sandler just makes movies because if you look at it, every movie he makes is on a tropical island right now. He did the one with where he played like a he wasn't a secret agent. No, it was with Kevin. It was with David Spade, and they changed identities, and they were on some tropical island. Then he did something with Jennifer Aniston, where they were off on an island somewhere.
Yeah, the Mystery Train or whatever the hell that one was.
Yeah, but they're jet setting all over the world. He doesn't make movies on the Cape anymore. He goes to warm weather places, huh?
He's a smart guy.
He was at the Mendon Drive-In for Hubie Halloween.
That's true, which I think is going to become a Halloween watch for us every year. Not great, but it was enough to watch every year.
They're making another one, right?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I thought they were. I thought they were making another one.
I understand the reasons why some people didn't like it, but it had every element that I loved in a movie.
It was fine. It was a goofy Halloween movie.
Right.
With a lot of cameos.
Yeah,
a lot of cameos. Adam Sandler makes movies because Netflix pays him a shitload of money.
Well, that too.
Makes movies.
Yeah,
he signed it like an exclusive deal. Like it's like Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis signed an exclusive deal with like Netflix or whoever. It's like we're gonna give you $20 million a year, just make shitty movies. Okay.
Well, he signed. I think they signed 10 movie deals. So just that's it. Okay, so the next 10 movies I got covered. I'm going to get paid no matter what. There's a contract that says
guaranteed money.
Eddie Murphy's doing that right now with Amazon Prime. I think the next Beverly Hills Cop is going to be on Amazon, and he's set.
Nice.
as long as they
Billy.
I don't know what the hell Don is talking about, but this better be real.
It is. They're literally in like where are they? They're in the South Shore right now.
Well, son of a bitch, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Why aren't you chasing them, Ray? They're
closed
in
down,
now.
They closed down someplace in Boston the other day because they were filming.
That's awesome. And I didn't know this either. My God. Well, I used to get Entertainment Magazine. I used to get Premiere Magazine. I know shit about shit now.
You just have to link
Up magazine.
Just add yourself to Don's news feed.
I know, right?
Don apparently knows where all these people are.
For real.
That's
Good job,
great.
Don.
I gotta follow Don more.
Because
they were in Beverly.
Jeff used to read magazine.
Word Up magazine. That's right.
That's what
We're all taking a road trip.
I don't know.
All right, guys. Well, this has been fun.
It has been. Good show tonight,
Yeah.
man.
Sorry you joined us late, Justin. What'd you do tonight? Anything fun?
No, nothing.
I know it's a birthday weekend for you. Not for you, but you still
Amber
have to
just
be a
got
part of
home.
it.
Amber was out gallivanting with her friends. So
Whoa.
Lucky her.
Yeah, so I was alone all day. So I'd made dinner for myself, which was pretty sad.
Jay, wait, sit down. Okay, we're not done.
Yeah.
The wind is starting to gust here, and I think something fell over outside.
Oh, you go deal with that. I'm going to bed.
You should go to bed.
Is anybody going to go watch something right now? Friday nights, we usually leave to go watch something. WandaVision's not on. So, anybody?
Coming to America.
I'm in the middle of Ozark, so I'm going to finish up an episode.
Oh, so good.
We're probably gonna get the last couple episodes of. No, we're still in the middle of Weeds. So no, actually, you know what? And something that I'm still
Are
telling
you in the
everyone-
weeds?
Yeah. But watch Resident Alien. So we're
Yes.
gonna watch the newest
I
episode.
thought that was good. Yeah.
Absolutely hilarious, but it's all because of Alan Tudyk. That's the only reason why. Him playing an alien is freaking awesome.
It's another guy I'd love to talk to. Alan Tudyk.
And he'd love to talk to you.
He's got
Get
2
on
dicks.
that.
It's amazing. It's not just a name, it's a reality.
It's a way of life.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening, everybody, and watching whatever you're doing. I don't care. Bye.
You got
Yeah.
nothing else to do, then you got nothing else to do. Later.